What's going on, everybody? We are live from Mimosa Monday. I think we're live anyway. Y'all let me know. Y'all know last time we had, it was a ghost in here. I don't know what was going on. Power was, my microphone system just decided to shut off. Computer shut off out of nowhere. Then turn back on, but the stream wasn't gone. That was a crazy Monday, bro. Oh, it's Mimosa Monday. And in case YouTube is watching, mimosa is just a euphemism. It's orange juice only. We're not actually drinking on camera, probably. In case YouTube is watching, you know what I'm saying. Who we got in the chat right now? We got not Dr. Nick Rivera. Oh, Dr. Nick Riviera. What's going on, Dr. Nick? Mimosa Monday. I know I should do it. We should do a song called Mimosa Monday, honestly, just for the intro, just for Mimosa Monday, because it's a whole different vibe. Mimosa Monday is a separate vibe unto itself. Sophia, oi, bom dia. Tudo bem? Você comemorou Dia dos Mães, a Dia das Mães? Não sei se você tem filho. Camp Cat, not drinking of camera either. Oh, off camera. Oh, you got a liberating Monday too, huh? I can't say I got liberating Monday. I got kids, so I definitely have an interview after this. But it's with Nick on RBN, so you know how that go. He gonna be high before I get there. Eric Huzo, what's going on, man? Good morning, my Osberger's brother. Hey, that's still under investigation. I don't know if I have Osberger's. I'm too happy to be. Not there's anything, you know, I don't knock it. I'm definitely on the spectrum, but Osberger specifically, I don't know. Even though some people have called me a robot, but only people like who are hyper emotional call me a robot. So I don't know. I feel like I'm not like, because Osberger people can be very, very much so robotic. So, but by robotic, they just mean that they don't respond emotionally in the same way that normal people do. Big T 503, good morning, good morning. Você tem duas filhas. Nice. O que elas fizeram para você? Yasmin, what's going on? We got people from X in here. We got people from YouTube in here. Make sure like and share, like and share, like and share. It's like a special, I feel like it's like a special edition of Mimosa Monday because yesterday was Mother's Day for at least the majority of, or at least for the Americas. I'm not sure for Europe, but I know for the US, for Brazil. Y'all know, random, Brazil actually has a different Father's Day than the US does. And I'm not quite sure how I feel about that, honestly, because the US doesn't celebrate Father's Day until, the US celebrates Father's Day in June. And Brazil celebrates Father's Day in August. So I'm actually expecting two presents because technically speaking, my passport says I'm American, even though I live in Brazil. So I've already had that conversation. But Eric Huzo said, crazy RBN drama, they get too caught up with identity politics, even though they claim that they're class politics they're class politics advocates. We need to stop fighting amongst ourselves and fight the empire. Well, the drama within RBN has nothing to do with the identity or politics in general, because they actually mostly agree politically. From my understanding, it's actually just internal. It's internal work stuff, right? Because they actually are a co-op. So be outside of the reporting that you all see, you know, through YouTube or wherever. They actually have like meetings, like weekly meetings or bi-weekly meetings. They have administrative stuff that they have to take care of. splitting up of income, allocating whatever they make to going towards their mutual aid ventures. So like they actually have a whole, I don't want to call it a business. Like there's a business aspect of it because they use RBN to raise the money, but they actually do have a work interpersonal relationship that has to be maintained. And there are certain, there's an etiquette to that, right? It's that part is more difficult because if it was just about knowledge, all of them are extremely knowledgeable, and are extremely articulate, extremely talented, successful in their own rights, and so. But when you go talking about the back end, and I'm speaking from personal experience because I founded MCSC back in the day. So like behind the scenes, you're constantly managing personalities, and when you do what we do, there are always egos involved. Unfortunately, I don't know. I haven't talked to Nick in detail about it yet, and I haven't seen the actual video. Also, I saw a part of it, and then I saw the tweets. But I do know that like I personally am a staunch advocate of like not handling your family business out in the streets, right? So that and CJ attacking Sabby, like, does that mean he has bad political takes? No, he's not necessarily, he's not wrong on his political takes most of the time, I would say. In fact, I would say he's evolved. He's better than he used to be on his political takes. However, if you have an issue with the way another member is dealing with their personal relationships, and that's something you handle on the personal side. You handle that off camera. You don't bring personal business out into the street. If even if someone directly asks you, like, I don't necessarily agree with this particular person, but as far as their relationship with my colleague, you know what I'm saying, that's their situation, and you should ask them about that, right? And leave it at that. You shouldn't be making value judgments publicly on camera about other members of your organization, right? Because it doesn't really help anybody. It creates drama. It takes the focus off the main thing. And also, it's just not really, in my opinion, it's also not mature. It's not just like if you have a problem with the way somebody's handling something and you have their number, you can just call them. You can text them. The only reason that you wouldn't come out and make and talk shit is if y'all try to resolve it behind closed doors, and it's just like escalating, and eventually it's somebody's brand is compromised because of it, like because of where it's escalated to. Like usually then you got to come out and you got to like just handle your business. But if you're just attacking because somebody randomly asks you a question, or you're just attacking because you feel the type of way, I don't agree with that. I just feel like people would probably have zero idea how much I've disagreed with my mom growing up, but nobody in my school would probably ever know that me and my mom fought at a certain point. Not my whole life, but at a certain point we fought a lot, and probably nobody in my school would ever have known that, because why? It's not y'all business. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not your business. It is what it is. If me and my brother fought at home that morning, bro, I think I can probably think of a time where that happened, where me and my brother got into my brother's only a year younger than me. We were in the same grade. So we probably got into a whole fist fight that morning or the next day, and no one would ever know at school that we just got done throwing real fists at each other, because not their business. You know what I'm saying? And when you're running a business, co-op like they're running, there is a certain etiquette to the way that you have to handle that side of what you're doing. So Eric Husso, Rome is a bully. He smears people unjustly. He smeared me as a dumb racist. Well, I don't think Rome is a bully, to be honest with you. I know he doesn't like bullies, so if he perceives you as being a bully, I can see him doing like, you said you have Asperger's. So the way you communicate he might have received it wrong, right? And that would have probably affected his response to whatever you said, even if you didn't mean it in the way that he thought, because you just are trying to communicate as directly as possible, and he's reading into it, because oftentimes there are people who attach ulterior motives to whatever they're saying, right? They're dog whistling. But being that you have Asperger's, dog whistling and Asperger's don't mix. If you said it like this, you probably meant it like this. And that, he took it the wrong way. Fred, what's going on? What's going on? Appreciate you being here. Man, so we had yesterday, like I said, was Mother's Day. And it was a funny, what's good, JB? How you doing, man? JB in the chat from RBN. Everybody said what's good to JB. Congratulations on your recent YouTube success. I see you out there growing. No hate on Rome, please. What? There will never be hate on Rome. Not on this channel. Not with all the work he be doing. It would take a lot for me to hate on Rome. Rome would probably, even if Rome criticized me for whatever reason, it would be a lot for me to go back and turn around and criticize Rome, because you just had to have put in some work in these streets before you can even think about attacking Rome. You can criticize this political take if you want, but you can't criticize Rome as a person, because you're not building libraries for kids. You're not out here bringing food to homeless people. I'm sorry. Like, you're not putting your life on the line all the time and sacrificing like a 9 to 5 and like really sacrificing security and stability, your personal security and stability, to literally give somebody a night or 2 nights of food in their belly. Like, it's hard. Like, I don't accept Rome. I don't accept Rome smearing on my channel. Everybody knows that. I'm one of the ones that be like, I be pissed when I see some of these people go around TikTok doing the bare minimum, right? And they go viral for it. But I'm like, this nigga Rome does this every single day. What are y'all talking about? Every other day. Name this segment Therapy with Nico. What you mean? Isn't that what mimosas mean? Like, isn't that why people go to brunch and drink mimosas, to talk about their week? It is the therapy of I won't say alcohol, because there's no alcohol in this mimosa. This is a virgin mimosa, just orange juice and a tonic. Yeah, we'll go with that. Orange juice and flavored tonic. Man, you at dialysis? Oh man, I hope you're doing okay, man. I know dialysis be putting you through it, man. Jesus Christ. I don't know if I would have the energy to do what you do all the time, make it to these shows, keep updated, and then head back to dialysis, bro. I know how that goes. Well, no, I don't know how it goes, but my grandfather did it, and it was a lot. It was a lot for him. But hey, man, some of y'all are stronger than the rest of us. So yeah, last week was crazy. So I didn't stream last week. I did maybe 2 interviews on other people's pages, but I didn't do my show last week, right? And the reason why is because, as I said, it was an interesting Mother's Day, because I didn't get to do all the plans that I wanted to do. The reason why, because my baby was on one. Okay, Lachesis had lost his damn mind. Now, in his defense, like at the beginning of the week, he got 2 of his vaccines. So he had it's probably gonna be his last 2 until he's like 5, to be honest with you, because I didn't even want him to get those 2, but that's a different conversation for a different day. But he, when you get them, when the babies get them, those first couple, you get a fever. He got a fever like the second day. He was in pain the first day, but then he got a fever the second day. And when I tell you, I didn't really get to sleep. I did not get to sleep. This boy was on one. I'm probably in the best shape that I've been in quite some time, because of like, if he wasn't sleeping for 10, 15 minutes, maybe, I was trying to like walk him around outside and around my neighborhood so that he can be calm, because when he's outside, he loves being outside. He's really calm. He won't cry. And eventually he might fall asleep. So I was walking around a lot, man. Like, he was screaming, wife trying to get stuff done, can't get it done, because every time she turns around, he also just by nature likes both of us being in the room at the same time. I don't know what that's about, but like literally both of us. He likes to be able to see both of us. Like usually if you see me doing my live show, 9 times out of 10, he's already sleeping. That's how I'm able to do it. So sometimes if I start later or I don't do a show that day, it's because every time I'm about to get ready to do the show, he doesn't like, he starts screaming. He'll start. That's what. So yeah, daddy life, whatever. So this man is crying and crying. And then after I have a conversation with my oldest, like, yo, bro, me and your mama is going through it right now. Not us personally. It's just with the baby. We're tired. We're exhausted. I need you to work with us, please. Because, bro, we're dying here. And he sometimes, like when we put the baby to sleep, he's 6. So, of course, he wants to come in screaming, is the baby asleep? And the baby's now not asleep. So that, when I had this conversation with him, he takes this as, oh, I should act the whole ass this week. So now he's asking for even more attention, probably because we're having to give so much attention to Logicist because he's not feeling well, even though my oldest Levi knew that. So he's like doing the most. And my assumption is because in his mind, he's a kid. So he's like, well, I see that Logicist is crying, acting like he's not feeling well. And so the parents are forced to give him more attention. So perhaps if I do the same thing and start acting like I'm upset and I start crying and doing dumb shit, then they'll start giving me more attention. So that's exactly what he starts doing. He just starts crying for no reason. Like, I told him to like go brush his teeth or something, and like he started crying for no reason. Like he was in his room for a little bit of time, and I specifically told him don't knock on my door, like because the baby was sleeping. So he goes out of which he knows better, but that day he was on one, so he was like, I'm gonna knock on the door anyway. Baby sleep, wakes up. Now the baby's crying, and of course, while the baby is crying, because we have to give him attention to stop him from crying, he wants to now have a whole conversation, a conversation that he didn't want to have 20 minutes ago. Bruh, I don't care what nobody say. People talk about terrible twos. Nah, bro, terrible two. I've dealt with 2-year-olds. There's a way that you can kind of like 2-year-olds do have a mind of their own at times, but they got like a ebb and a flow to their behavior. It's almost, I hate to say, like, it's almost kind of like predictable if you're, for the most part. 5 and 6-year-olds is different, bro. Because 5 and 6-year-olds like to act like they're 2-year-olds. And you got to just be patient. It's patient. I was raised by Black parents, so like, patient as I can be. But you gotta deal with the fact that your 5 or 6-year-old actually thinks that he or she is smarter than you, and that he or she is actively outthinking you. And you gotta do your best to not react to the fact that your 5 or 6-year-old is constantly insulting your intelligence. That's the shit for me. When he be asking me a question like that, I know he already knows the answer to. I'm like, I don't know what's the answer. Well, I don't know. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you know the answer. Is it this? I'm like, yep. So why did you ask me? Oh, well, I just wanted to know. Yeah, no, you knew already. So you either wanted me to pat you on the back, which, whatever, that's cool, which I do all the time anyway, or you just feel like talking. Or there's the rare time, so he know, like, I speak Portuguese, but there are things that I don't know. So he'll ask me about a specific animal, which is like a thing that he's like, I won't say the expert in, but he's really, really good when it comes to knowing the names of animals. So whenever he's feeling some type of way, he'll randomly come up and ask me, like, if he's just in a mood, and like ask me about an animal. I'm like, I don't know about this animal. He's like, oh, you don't know this animal? I'm like, no, I don't know the name. I don't know what the animal is, like, in Portuguese. Oh, you don't know? Like, you don't know? Nick, no, I've said no already. Just tell me what it is. Well, I don't know how to explain it. Maybe mom can. Like, and just like leaves it there. And I'm like, what the you? But yeah, nah. It's rare that he does that, but sometimes he be on one because he got in trouble that day. So he'll just try to make fun of me. So this whole week, now I'm knowing Mother's Day is on Sunday. This whole week, I'm like, bro, between these two kids, and then they're, laying stress. The mama's stressed. She's stressed because it's hard listening to your baby cry already as it is. My ADHD is going through the roof because listening to that type of crying for a long period of time just has a visceral effect on your brain chemistry after a while if you have ADHD. My 6-year-old is just being him. And I have not had time to leave the house because I can't leave the house because I cannot leave Lenny with these demons. Okay. I refuse to do it. I was not going to do it. So we're like at our wits' end with everything. And parents, if you have kids, every parent probably has been through this at some point. You feel like, bro, I don't even know why I'm here. I should just let these kids be here by themselves, handle their own business, pay their own bills. And I should just come in and check on them to make sure that they're alive and it's going about my business because my presence is meaningless. Whatever I say don't matter. Like, you feel like that sometimes because you have to repeat yourself over and over again. Sometimes you tell them to do one thing and it's like they don't do the opposite by accident. They're doing the opposite on purpose. It happens, right? And so you get stressed out. And then on Saturday, we get a letter for Saturday or Friday. I can't remember which day. We'll get an email, or at least we open the email from his school, which is funny because I was just thinking about their progress. I'm like, yo, my son doing okay in school? Because I haven't heard anything about it. And we asked and we didn't get a response back yet. And they sent the progress report for Levi, my oldest. And I couldn't believe what I was reading. That he basically in Brazil, they have a very complex, I don't know if that's for everybody now, but I know in Brazil, he goes to a private school, so there's that. But they have a very complex progress report. They go through the details of so for example, when he's speaking, is he speaking clearly? Is he communicating his feelings clearly? Is he sharing? Is he showing a willingness to share? Is he displaying leadership capabilities? When he learns, is it sticking? Right? They even can tell when he's learning outside of the classroom. I don't know. I mean, he does learn outside the classroom a lot. He studies here, but I'm assuming it's because knowing my son, he is definitely speaking. If the teacher's asking a question before, while the lesson is starting, a question that most kids probably wouldn't know, knowing him, he's definitely going to want to give the answer because that's the type of kid he is. So that's probably how they know. But basically, this letter says that he is excelling in every single aspect of school. And he's also one of the most well-behaved kids, and that he listens and is very respectful to the teachers and he's paying attention, which is, I mean, for all kids, it's a problem, but for mine, I feel like it's definitely a whole different thing. But that he is really sweet to the other kids. He played. I'm like, whose kid is this? Because this damn show is not mine. My kid is he got only child syndrome. He only had a brother for 2 months. So sometimes let be the type that will literally get a new toy. Then he wants to go outside with it because he wants an audience while he plays with the toy by himself. He's got that type of only child syndrome. For real. So even though he does have ADHD, in the house, I'm very, 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 very disciplined with him. He has a routine because I know that when you have severe ADHD, which he has, the only thing that can really save you from yourself at that age, because I'm not giving him medicine, I refuse, is a routine and discipline, right? And explanations as to why, if he does have a legitimate question, I give him an explanation. I don't hit him with don't worry about it, do it because I'm an adult. If he argues with me, there's a different conversation, but he rarely argues. So even though sometimes he gives me a headache in the house, in this week in particular, both of the kids have been stressing this out, him in different ways than Lachis. We get this letter and we're like, y'all see my kid over there? And we had a barbecue, and when we saw the letter, we were actually at a Mother's Day barbecue, Mother's Day / birthday barbecue. And we were like, hey, you see my kid over there, boy? That's my boy. Hey. Boy, I couldn't believe it. I asked his mom, I said, hey, now before I go and brag on him, please make sure that there are not other Levies in the class, because Brazilians love to share names. Boy, they all got this. I swear to God, bro, they damn near all got the same names. Levy is a very popular name down here. I'm not really sure why. But yeah, so it was him. I made sure we verified twice. I verified 3 times. It was talking about my boy. I was like, what? That's my. What? I was gonna have to throw you through a window. But I had this whole week a headache after headache after headache, and then boom. It's like, no, you're not wasting your time. It's just that he's testing you because you're his parents, and that's just how they do you, right? They're always trying to your kids are always trying to test you. I feel like that's the part that's like the hardest thing for me, is like not even the attention that they want. I can give you attention, especially if I'm in the mood. Sometimes if I'm not in the mood, but usually I can give you attention. I'm also very good at setting boundaries with my boy. I'm like, hey, bro, go away in your room, go chill. Like, you're asking me a bunch of questions and I need to recuperate. So if you want me to be nice to you, give me 2 hours. And he's like, all right, cool. You know, but they be testing you. Kids will really just to see how much, like, it's like they feeling you out to see how much they think they can get away with. And if you don't think that, I mean, I've witnessed the difference, like the way my boy acts with his grandma, or acts with even with other people in his dad's, his biological father's side of the family, versus how he acts with me, or acts with his mom, or acts with people that I know, right? Or his mom's side of the family. It's completely different. They be complaining about stuff that we're like, what? He don't do that. Oh, he's always trying to take stuff in the stores. He's grabbing stuff and touching stuff in the stores, like touching toys. He'll cry if he doesn't get what he wants. He doesn't want to pick up his toys from the floor. I'm like, I've literally never had any of these problems with him, ever. Not a single time. Like, even a little bit. If I say, hey, go pick up your room, he's like, all right. If I'm like, hey, bro, go brush your teeth, he's like, all right. I might have to tell him twice because he's 6, but that's it. So he tested them, they failed the test. Is what I'm telling you. But he tested me and he tested his mama. Nah. And I told him, I don't take tests from kids. And there's a difference, sir. I don't take tests from kids. I don't negotiate with kids. I don't argue with kids. I don't debate with kids. There is a certain age that you have to be for me to entertain a back and forth with you. I can explain something to you if you are having trouble understanding it, but I will not argue with the children. I refuse. Kid, we have him take martial arts? I'm thinking about it, but it's going to be hard to do that because he's probably going to start training in he's definitely going to start training in basketball and soccer soon. So I don't know with school basketball and soccer if he's also going to be able to take martial arts, unless it's like a seasonal thing. And I don't know what the season would be yet for martial arts. I'm hoping there is a season for it, or there's like blocks, like maybe 3 to or 4 to 8 week blocks, so that maybe in the off season of soccer and basketball, he can do probably Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Because he does, boy, that boy walking around like this, y'all. I swear to God, he walks around the house randomly doing this. And I'm like, what are you doing, bro? And he's like, eu sou forte. He's like, I'm strong. I'm like, okay, did you just get done doing some push-ups or something? Like, why are you walking around like this? And he walks past the mirror, y'all. He will walk past the mirror and be like, and stop and walk back and go like, he's 6 years old. That's my boy, bro. I had to ask my mom. I'm like, Mom, we weren't like this when we were 6. She's like, yeah. Where I'm like, I don't believe it. I don't believe the hype. I can't. I just refuse to believe that. I'm like asking the most random questions all the time. Maybe flexing. Me and my brother probably were doing that, something silly like that. But I do know if my mom told us to do something very specific, 9 times out of 10, we did not do the opposite because we were terrified. Eric Husso, wish I had that growing up. They would have discovered my Asperger's. Sound like your kids are at a great school. Yeah, actually, yeah. No, he is at a great school, and that is the beauty of his school. One of the reasons we chose that particular school, because that school, we were between 2 private schools. Because unfortunately, the public schools in Brazil are like, right? Some are more well-funded. It's kind of like the US, actually. If you're in a nice neighborhood, it's pretty well-funded. But if you're not, then it's not. But even comparatively, the jump from private school, there's like, so for me, there is nobody that I've met that went to a private school in my city that went to a better private school than my public school was at the time. Not a single person. There are exceptions for like, so if you went to like North Carolina School of Science and Math, that's totally different. And it's also very, it's specifically driven for a specific type of person who's pursuing a specific type of degree. So like the focus is there, but it is also kids from all over the school and really, all over the state and also all over the country in some cases. But there was no private school in my city that was better at anything really than my public school was of Jack Britt. That's just was a fortunate thing. But here, the private school, even you can have a really, really, really good public school, it's not gonna come close to your private school here. Because, like, for example, there's like 20-something kids in my 6-year-old's class. There's the teacher, then there's like 4 or 5 assistants with the teacher. So everybody is getting the type of, that's the goal, is everybody's getting the specific type of attention that they need. And they're getting paired up with the assistant that can best relate to and communicate with your child in the form of communication that they most need. So that is like a huge thing, because for me, I just did, when I was in elementary school, 5 and 6 years, no, I can't say 6, 5 years old, I did not get enough attention. First of all, everything was too easy for me. I didn't get to go to preschool, and for a long time, I thought it was because I was so, there was like a whole thing where I was salty with my parents over that because my brother got to go to preschool and I didn't get to go. I was really, really upset about it because preschool looked so much damn fun. I had to go was I babysat? I think I was babysat sometimes, or I went to like a daycare or something to that extent. But I distinctively remember my friends and then eventually my brother going to preschool, and I just went straight to kindergarten. And I was so mad for so long. And I found out it's because you had to take a test at this time. I don't know if it works like that now, but back then in Fville, you had to take a test to go to preschool. And I was too smart for preschool because my dad had already taught me all this stuff. So I didn't know that was why. And I harbor so much animosity towards my parents because I was like, why didn't y'all let me go to preschool? I didn't know until I was an adult that was why I couldn't go to preschool. So by the time I got to kindergarten is actually, at least in the US for the most part, is not that different from preschool, which I also didn't know because I didn't go to preschool. And I was bored out of my mind because I did the group activities. We all, you do most of them are learning the alphabet at that age. So I always participate in the group activities, but I was always the first one finished with my work after. And also all that I was doing with the group activities was reinforcing what my dad already taught me at the time at home. Like I knew my numbers up to 100 and I knew my ABCs at least when I was 4, I knew it. So I probably started learning when I was about 3. So by the time I got to kindergarten, I knew all this stuff and I was bored out of my mind. And my progress reports would always say, Nico is amazing. He's smart, but he's talking all the time. And they were absolutely right. I was bored out of my mind. We got Sabby in the chat. What's going on, Sab? Jack Britt with the top-notch school in Fayette. Now I want to say, what? Sabby, you from Fayette? No? What? Oh man. 2-6 and what? Sad? Not know you was from Fayetteville. What? That's crazy. You went to Southview? Yeah, man. A lot of reason that Jack Britt was so good in sports was because we poached a bunch. Whenever Jack Britt was built, because we were a new school, we poached a bunch of kids from Southview. They put Jack Britt like smack dab in the middle of all the schools. So like you poach like basketball, the best basketball players from 71st, the best football players from Southview, some more football players from Douglasburg. Douglasburg, by the way, like they were 7-time state championship. It was Joe Horn. So if you're an NFL fan, Joe Horn, the wide receiver, he came from Douglasburg during that 7-time state championship run. So yeah, man. You know, man, we was like, even though I was in the poor, cause I live on Strickland Bridge. That's where like, yeah, I was on that side. So, we even though that side's kind of poor, but frankly, the school itself, if you were fortunate enough to go to Jack Britt, and people did a lot of things to go to Jack Britt, there were people who drove an hour to hour and a half away to go to my high school, especially to play sports. And because our teachers were like some of the best in the state. We were always like, I'm one of the country school of choice. We excelled in almost every sport. Have a few NBA players from Jack Britt, a few that I think, one still plays overseas. No, a few still play overseas actually. One still in the NBA, back and forth. He's like his D League and NBA, and then NFL. We had a bunch of NFL players. I was actually supposed to be the guy to compete in the Olympics. I didn't compete in the Olympics, but that's a whole different conversation. I was supposed to compete in the Olympics for triple jump. I was supposed to start training my senior year, but yeah, things happen. But yeah, all the schools in Fayetteville were unique. Yeah, they were unique. Some were unique in a lot of ways. But everybody had their thing. Every school in Fayetteville had their thing. Like, for example, I don't know if y'all know, Michael Jordan's family lived in Fayetteville. His brother lived in Fayetteville because his brother, I think he retired Sergeant Major. So his niece, went to 71st, which was like a school. Actually, that was a school that I would have went to if Jack Britt wasn't built. And his niece was a hooper too, as you probably can imagine. But funny story, my ex babysat Michael Jordan's niece, and I want to say nephew too, but definitely his niece, and because they live in the same area. And even funnier, my ex, coincidentally, before we knew this, her dad was my pediatrician, and so my mom knew her whenever I introduced her to her for the first time, and we didn't know why until like my mom was like, "Yeah, well, that's her. Her dad was your pediatrician." I was like, yes. Yeah, Fayetteville is small, guys. It's a big ass small town. That is the best way I could describe Fayetteville. Yeah, I did. So Eric, I did basic training at Fort Jackson too. Funny enough, it was kind of easy. It was, I ain't gonna lie, bro. Soccer tryouts and basketball tryouts and like that shit was harder than basic training was. I'm not gonna lie to you. And some people say it was because I was at Fort Jackson, but I was also in really good shape. I played sports like right before I went to, like I just said, I was a track athlete. So, but the hard part was being yelled at. But eventually, I just did what I would do with my mom. I would just ignore her, you know. I was just like, you guys are really not that important. Like, it's not like you about to put your hands on me. Back in the day, it was different. Like back in the day, you know what I always tell you, Eric? I don't know. Well, no, I don't know how old you are, but whenever I got to the military, which was 2008, they used to be like, "It's a new army, ho." Like, because they couldn't put their hands on you anymore. I'm like, "Oh, you can't put your hands on me? I really ain't got nothing to worry about." But you know, I was from Fayetteville, so I was out here wishing the motherfucker would put their hands on me, and so that was a whole different thing. That's so crazy, Sabby from Fayetteville. Sabby, how long did you stay in? What, did you go to middle school in Fayetteville too? E. Smith used to dance at the football games. Oh man, E. Smith was wild, boy. They danced at the football games. Hey, so E. Smith, if y'all ever watched the movie Drumline, that was basically E. Smith High School. Like, no cap. In fact, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Drumline's about North Carolina A&T. And a lot of the drumline from E. Smith High School eventually graduated, and they will go to North Carolina A&T because E. Smith was like, if there was ever an HBCH, historically black high school, E. Smith would be that one. So they would feel right at home at North Carolina A&T. Oh yeah, Eric. Yeah, you in a different army than I was in. I was a paralegal. Even though they tried they damnedest to get me to go special forces, they were trying to get me to go. Woo, they were trying to get me to go special forces so bad because I was, they get the when you they don't tell you at the time, but when you first do your PT test, when you arrive at basic training, they're trying to like separate you, right? So if you do great on your PT test, you're already in one category. Then, because it's more likely for you to be able to transition into special forces, airborne, whatever. But then, if you score high in your what is it, PT, not PT? Oh man, there's a very specific score in your ASVAB that they use to measure like your like practical intellect, right? I want to say CT score, and that has to be a paralegal that has to be high. So like they had once I score high on that, or once you score high on that, no matter what field or no matter what branch you go to, they're tracking you. If you get a high, I want to say it's called a CT score, but if you score high on that, they're tracking you from jump. If you get really good marks on your physical stuff, they again they tracking you even more. Then you start getting they start showing up to your unit, to your battalion throughout your basic training. Hey man, you want to go airborne? Look at all the cool stuff that I do. Start getting the videos, you start getting separated from your platoon, they start putting you in random they start putting you in leadership positions in your platoon. Yeah, it's a whole recruiting process. A lot of it's psychological. But once I knew that they couldn't put their hands on me, once again, wasn't really care. I wasn't scared that they were going to put their hands on me. Like I said, I spent a lot of my time wishing the motherfucker would. I got into a fight in basic. Everybody fights in basic training at some point. I got into a fight in basic training with some cat from Michigan, and he didn't realize though that if you know Fayetteville, North Carolina, you know it's by Fort Bragg. You also know that if you go to basic training, if you're from Fayetteville and you go to basic training, there is a good chance that if you got a battalion or if you got a company of 40 people, about 15 of those people are from Fayetteville. If they're not from Fayetteville, they around that area. They from around the area, right? And about 5 or 6 of those people know each other. So yeah, that was a whole beef that I had in basic training, but we got dealt with. Yeah, but basic training wasn't difficult. The hard part was being away from family, but we didn't miss Christmas, so I got to go back during Christmas. AIT was more difficult for me too. AIT was more difficult for me than basic training because honestly, it was probably because I was a paralegal. Like, so the type of egos you're dealing with are different. Being an athletic paralegal is actually probably considered to be, it was like I would get a lot of shit for it and a lot of hate for it. It wasn't like basic training where like, oh, cool, you're an athlete and that's all that matters here. If you're scoring damn near perfect or scoring perfect during your PT test, and you're also scoring perfect on your paralegal stuff, and I was also a fast typer. Shout out to my ex in high school, because using AOL Instant Messenger is where I got all my practice from. They thought I was like, man, you're just a really good typer. Like you just woke up one day and knew how to type on a computer. It's not very common, by the way, guys, for men, especially at the time, black men, to be fast typers. And I was the fastest typer in my keyboarder. That's what they used to call it, keyboarding, in my class. So I got actually in arguments, I almost fought my sergeant. I almost had to fight my instructor's husband because I complimented my instructor because she was really sweet. She was always nice to me at the time. And I was like, oh, you look radiant today. Because she just looked like she was glowing, like she was in a good mood, and she hadn't been for like the last few days. And she told her husband, just thinking like, oh yeah, my 19-year-old student, and her husband is a master sergeant at this time. She's like, my 19-year-old student said I look radiant today, put me in a good mood. This motherfucker comes, I bullshit you not. He comes to my battalion at night during formation. There are like final formation. And he like, is private house here? I'm like, oh yeah, what's up, man? I have no idea who you are. He's like, oh, I'm Master Sergeant so-and-so. I'm like, okay. And like, what do you want? If you call my wife radiant again, me and you gonna have problems. I was like, I'm still at ease, right? I'm like, oh, what kind of problem, Master Sergeant? He's like, you know what kind of problems I'm talking about. I said, now I'm a little less at ease. My hand's coming up here. I said, you threatening me, Master Sar? Because we don't have to wait until I call your wife radiant again. I can fuck you up right here. And then like my first sergeant had to get involved. His wife grabs him. The formation's breaking up. Like, yeah, no, I was not playing that. Well, back then I was with the shits. I was only 19 at the time too. So that was a different era of my life where I was very anxious, man. My brother likes to say, he's like, I don't like unknown quantities. So I'm gonna hit you first. It's basically how our mindset was. So yeah, man, but being military, that's the thing that a lot of people get scared of, is like eventually you probably gonna end up fighting somebody because it's like just clash personalities. And sometimes that happens, you know, but it's good for you. It's good for you. Builds character. But you also need to see what kind of people are out there in the world. I will say that is one thing the military taught me is, wow, the humanity is much more diverse than I originally thought it was. And I grew up in a very diverse city. I got you, Sab. So yeah, you did say you were an Army brat. Yeah. So man, so you went to Southview, so you was at a good school. That makes sense. Yeah, man, Jack Britt. That's crazy that you were there during the Jack Britt era. So you got to see prime Jack Britt. It's still good school, still. It ain't what it used to be. It ain't like it was when I was there. We was out there. Jack Britt was the type of school, like my high school, y'all. I BS you not. At one point when I was an athlete, the athletes overall grade point average was 3.5. Do y'all understand how insane that is? That is not normal for athletes at any height. And these athletes are not like they're taking honors and AP classes. These are like, we had an athlete that was that almost got the damn, what's that damn scholarship for North Carolina? There's a scholarship in North Carolina that gives you a full ride. You compete with it for everybody. I wish I could remember. But in North Carolina, you can get the scholarship, and it's a full ride to anywhere in the country, and it's a highly competitive scholarship. And we had like 2 football players that were competing for it. And one of them almost won. He was a finalist. So, and like the football players or soccer players were in like I was an athlete, but I was also one of the best debaters in the country. And I was graduated to top 20 in my class. So like, it was just very common there. It was like women at that school hated dumb people. Like, you couldn't be dumb and have a girlfriend or not have a good girlfriend. Like, even if you was one of those kids that didn't try, like, even that was not trying actually wasn't that cool. If you didn't try, you were considered like a dumbass. Like, why wouldn't you try? Oh, I can do it, but I just don't. So you're making an active decision to fail. It's one thing if you're having trouble. It's a whole different thing if you think you're smart and you actually just not trying. Yeah. So like it was one of the few schools that I could say they intelligence discriminated. I don't know how you could do that, but they definitely, there was discrimination of intelligence going on at that school. It was wild, yo. It was wild. I loved a lot of my high school career. It was weird at times, but I got the sports, I got the athletic experience. I also learned how much politics plays a big part in sports, which was pretty significant. It was like, it showed me how the real world actually works. And sometimes like you got to be smarter than the system that you're trying to be a part of. If you get my drift, like if you're a basketball player. So like at Jack Britt, they wouldn't tell you, but basically if you can't go to the basketball camp that the whole team goes to during the summer, it's not a requirement, but if you can't afford to go, you can't make the team. Like you cannot make the team. So like it doesn't matter how good you were. Now there was rare exceptions. Like if you showed up to the school, like you just were a new student and you had proof that you already went to a camp that summer, and it was really the financial proof that they were looking for. It wasn't to display your skill set. It was a financial proof that they wanted to, because being on a basketball team or being on a football team even, or being on a soccer team is expensive. And they don't want to have to worry about a student who can't pay for a certain trip, certain shoes, uniform stuff. Sometimes they might all decide to alter the uniform in the middle of the season, tournament So if you go like with Jack Britt, like so they had holiday tournaments during the wintertime. So sometimes you have to pay for your own stuff there. They want to know that you can pay for it, your parents can pay for it. So that was a big class. That was a lot of class discrimination that went on. I don't know if it was every school, but at least at my school when it came to sports. And even I did debate, right? So I was in forensics and I was pretty damn good. I did not start out that way, but hard work. Hard work and patience from my debate coach. But I didn't know that I paid for my tournaments that were local because they were $20 for registration. But then there were big tournaments, right? There were tournaments at Harvard. There were tournaments at like other schools around the state. There like, but any college, anytime we went to a college to compete, it was not cheap. It was expensive. Usually about $100. And which back $100 now is crazy. $100 back then, when you think about it, just to go compete at a tournament and you don't know if you're going to win or not, like that's the thing. And I didn't know at the time that my debate coach at those tournaments, he was like telling me like, oh, well, you know, we asked a sponsorship or scholarship. I can't remember what he would say, but you know, we have sponsorship or scholarship that we're going to just, you know, that we put to the side for members of the team, you know, to go to these tournaments if you're highly competitive. He was lying. He was paying for the money. He was paying for my entry out of his own pocket and not telling anybody. He was like, and he didn't tell me. I think there was one time where he told me I could just pay him back because it was like maybe a local tournament, and I just told him I couldn't go. And I didn't think it would personally be a big deal if I didn't go to this tournament because it was a local tournament. I was like, yeah, and I don't have the money this week, so like, you know, bills. So like, you know, I don't have to. And he was like, nah, you can just pay me back. And I went and I did well. I later found out it had something to do with like, basically it's very competitive. Like North Carolina debate and forensics in general in North Carolina is very competitive. And it was like about points and setting yourself up for districts and nationals and all that good stuff, whatever. So like, but the reason that he didn't tell me or tell anybody is likely because there's a lot of class discrimination in this particular event, in these events in general. And I was fucking poor. I was poor. My money that I made went towards bills in the house and my debate tournament. That was about it at the time. So that was a eye opener for me because I had a great experience up until the end with debate, but I didn't realize how much money what affects perception, because I was fortunate enough to be shielded from it in a lot of ways from people around me who were aware of it and kind of like wanted to protect my innocence at the time. And they didn't want me to move different or be self-conscious because of the lack of money that I had or my family had. So, because Jack Britt was known for they were just known for being rich kids. Terry Sanford, on the other hand, they were known for old money, but that's a different conversation for a different day. But yeah, they had old people. That's old money, like houses passed down 5-6 generations, old Southern money. Those are the ones who go, they might graduate from Yale or Harvard, but they coming back to Fayetteville to work because their family owns a business there and it's owned one for generations. Eric Huzo said, they're the great minds that were never discovered because they don't fully fund great education for everyone. Amen, my brother. Amen. That is such a truthful statement. I helped start an initiative at UNC where they actually go and they find you in your freshman year, and they go to the poorest areas of North Carolina. They find you your freshman year. They figure out if you have potential, and then they grab you and they don't let you go until and they help you get into UNC. And even if you choose not to go to UNC, that's even fine. But they don't let you go, bro. Like, they on your ass. You got it. They're making sure you're getting your A's. They're showing you what class you need to sign up for. They're making sure you're in extracurricular activities. They're helping you with your college applications. Helping you with job applications if you want to work during your while you're in high school. Helping you with tutoring, like dragging you through the process. Because what happens is, like for me, I never, if you would have asked me my sophomore year, even with my great grades and extracurriculars, what my ceiling was, I would have laughed at you if you would have told me that I was going to graduate from UNC and I would have gotten in with the full ride. Even after I got my high ass SAT score, I got a 1600 on the SAT, something like that. I think a little bit higher, but it was 1600, which is, if you don't know, 1600 is high as hell, especially because I'm not going to lie, I didn't really study all that much, but should have studied more, but it's high as hell. And I could have gotten into basically any school in the country at the with that score in my grades and extracurriculars. But I would have laughed at you if you would have told me, like, yeah, man, you can go to UNC. I'd be like, okay, whatever. That's like a way over there school. Like, it's, mind you, UNC's it was like an hour and 10 minutes away from my house. But that might as well be a different country because those kids are different. But having someone actually who believes in you and is like, nah, bro, like, do you not know that you're in this percentile, like a top percentile of like of recruits for these type of schools? And you don't know until somebody tells you, because you don't even know what to look for. You don't even know what the metrics are. And unfortunately, there does become a point where you can almost convince your guidance counselor or some mentor, not like they're doing it on purpose, but you can convince them because of the way you see yourself of limiting or believing in the limits that you put on yourself. So when I say I want to go to NC State or FSU, for example, not that there's anything wrong with Fville State University, like, and I'm really excited about it because I'm thinking like that's really good for, from where my family came from, for what I can do, for my abilities. Like, I know I'm overqualified for it. Like, at some point, somebody should probably step in and be like, well, no, bro, with your grades, like, you could go wherever the hell you want. Why FSU? You got to give me a specific reason to tell me FSU. That person should then present other options to you, but instead they just whatever, this person wants to go here. So that's what we'll do. That's what we'll help them do. That's what we'll keep them at. Can't do that. I got is that Nick? Nick is here too. What's good, Nick? We got a whole RBN crew in this hoe. Yeah, UNC is a public university, but like Sabby said, it's highly ranked. It's considered one of the public Ivy League schools in the country. It's like UNC, Virginia, Michigan. UNC, Virginia, Michigan. I want to say UCLA. Don't quote me on that. I think UCLA is part of that. And I think Vanderbilt. But Vanderbilt's not public, I don't think. But there's a list of 5 schools around the country that are considered public Ivy League schools because of how competitive they are. And UNC is the only one out of those schools that actively practices grade deflation, unfortunately. So just because you got an A doesn't actually mean you get an A. Because if too many people get A's on a particular test or paper, they will forcibly deflate your grade. Yeah. As you can probably guess, there are a lot of problems that come along with that. When I think of UNC, I think of the GOAT Michael Jordan. Yeah. That's what I tell foreigners. They're like, what school did you go to for college? I'm like, UNC. They're like, where's that? North Carolina. They're like, what? I'm like, Michael Jordan. They're like, oh, Michael Jordan, the blue school. Yeah. There's so many reasons that I can mention. Like, yeah, that school that's known for their medical school, have one of the best hospitals in the world, actually have a great football team. The school where damn near half of the U.S. women's national team comes from to go get gold, and they go just smack people around and get gold medals. That year so in was 2014 or 2015, whenever the U.S. women's won again, the MVP was a sophomore at UNC at the time. Like, she was younger. She was 2 grades younger than me at the time. And she was a bench player at UNC before becoming a starter because of an injury to somebody else. And like within that year, she's on the U.S. women's national team and she was the best player in the world. Like, and there are a bunch of players at women's soccer players at UNC that are like that. They're just like, it's because of the politics that come into play. There's politics and there's money that come into play. So if they spent money scouting somebody in high school, they want to give those people a chance first because somebody's job is probably riding on it, right? And then and I've already invested money in it. So those people always get a chance first. But then like somebody goes down, substitute comes in, she goes crazy. And they probably already knew that she was great through practice, but it was like a matter of opportunity. And boy, when she sees that opportunity, dog, when I tell you, their softball players are great, baseball team is great, soccer team is great, football team. We almost went to the national championship when I was at UNC. So I was blessed with a good UNC football team. That was dope. We went to the national championship while I was there. So that was dope. Man, like UNC, Franklin Street was an experience. It was like one of those, like you had to be there to get it. I was very, very, if I didn't move to Miami shortly after graduating, I would have been very depressed after college because I had a great college experience. Nick, you said Nick is Misty's joining the show too. Oh man, it's about to be one of those. It's about to be one of those shows. That's what's up. Yeah, I'm gonna be on Nick's show on RBN after we get done here. By the way, guys. LeBron James comes out in support of Israel. I'm done with him now. I've been done with LeBron as far as. Like, I respect LeBron as a father. I respect a lot of what he's done for other basketball players in the business of basketball. But LeBron has the shittiest political takes. He's always had shit political takes. I mean, LeBron's one of those fake smart people I be talking about. Ain't nothing more dangerous in the world than a fake smart black person with money. I promise you there isn't. Hold on, I gotta get a refill just for my orange juice YouTube in case y'all watching. Coming, y'all. Coming. I'm one of the rare souls that drinks ice, that puts ice in my mimosas. I'm back. Y'all know one of the best parts about Mimosa Monday now? Y'all know we don't do Minute Maid anymore. I live in Brazil. So this orange juice is fresh squeezed. So it hits a little bit differently. It's a refreshing mimosa. Yeah, the background's a cartoon. That's not my real living room, guys. Come on. I know it's dope though, right? It looks like a real living room, but like not at the same time. Some people thought, like there are people who, when they first glance at it, they think it's actually a living room. But what I was saying before about LeBron, that there's nothing more dangerous than a fake smart black person with money, is that black people in this system that we live in are constantly used to push narratives of whatever you want to call it, Zionist supremacy, white supremacy, pro hyper capitalism, et cetera, right? And there's a disease that exists within the United States, at least, usually around the world, but definitely in the United States, especially in this modern era that we live in, podcasting. People think that because you have money, your opinion is valid and that you are, in fact, smart. And because you wouldn't be rich if you weren't smart. There is a false equivalency that is often pushed that you wouldn't be rich if you weren't smart. Well, in actuality, if I wasn't smart, bro, I would be rich as hell. You know how listen, I'm smart enough to know when somebody's trying to manipulate me to push their own agenda. So there are plenty of times where I've been offered deals to do shows or whatever, or work for networks. And I know it's like, you want me to be the token black guy. Nah, I'm not doing that. And they're like, are you sure we're going to pay you X amount? Can't do it. Sorry. See, if I was dumb and if I was like Van Jones, for example, Another fake smart black person. If I was like that, I would take the money without knowing I was about to be manipulated, but then you get stuck. So LeBron James, one of those fake smart black people who also has an ego and is like one of the best in the world at what he does, and was the best in the world at what he does at one point. And he's one of those people who is also smart enough to surround himself with great business minds. So it's very, so people believe, for example, and now also basketball wise, I will say like he's one of the most intelligent basketball players there ever was. Probably is the most intelligent there ever has been, because he understands the dynamics of basketball beyond putting a ball in a basket. That's what I mean by it. Like, he understands, in order for me to get calls, I have to manipulate the media narrative outside of the game before I even get into the game. Like, I have to bring on teammates who are okay with me, like basically being held to it. Like, there's a double standard, right? I'm gonna be able to hold you more accountable than you'll ever be able to hold me. And you're gonna have to get over it. Like, and I have to have teammates that are okay with that. Like, he knows he has to gas the young. What LeBron does a lot of the times is he'll gas up the young kids that come into the league. Like, yeah, show them a lot of love, right? The reason why is because he knows when they go up against LeBron, they will then see him as, oh, like, oh man, it's LeBron. He was just so nice to me. And LeBron puts like 30 on their head. And you're like, why'd you do me like that? I thought we were friends. He literally does that all the time. So like, when people play Mike, they were trying to go at Mike because like that was their favorite player, and that was like the way to show respect. Michael Jordan wouldn't respect you if you went at him, soft because you saw him as like Michael Jordan. Kobe wouldn't respect you if you went at him soft because you saw him as Kobe. But LeBron, he's expecting you to go soft because like, yo, I'm your hero, right? And he shows you love. Like, Kobe not showing you love before a game. He don't care how new or young or how much of a fan you are. LeBron or Michael Jordan wasn't like that, but LeBron is. So he manipulates. It takes a lot of talent to be able to manipulate that many aspects of a game to get the outcome that you want, at least a favorable outcome, the majority of the time. Because that's what happened. Like, hell, I mean, yeah, he got his ass whipped in a lot of those finals, but to even get back to the finals, you have to manipulate a lot. And there were people who didn't want to play in the East. One of the reasons that the East was so weak while LeBron was there was partially because they didn't want to play in the Eastern Conference manipulated by LeBron James. I'm not about to play in the Eastern Conference you got to remember, Kobe was injured and basically gone, which means everybody knows that the NBA was looking for their next superstar. LeBron was it. That's how the NBA like became what it became. They got that Larry and Magic showed them the formula. Michael perfected the formula. Kobe it perfected that. I would say even took it to a next level, because as popular as he was in the States, he then became even more popular in East Asia, which hadn't been done yet. Then LeBron takes it, and then he's a monopoly, right? It always happens. That's capitalism, but he has a monopoly on the NBA because he was the first one to come out with a media production company, like a one that had the impact that it's had. He got Rich Paul and those boys like controlling the free agency in a way that we've never seen before, not since Rob Pelinka and Kobe. And yeah, basically that's it. He got the Dallas Maverick, or excuse me, Maverick Carter controlling all his business finances, which are directly intertwined with the NBA. He's working with the NBA to fulfill his business goals. Like, and he has them by the balls. He has their richest, most well-known franchise in history, probably one of the most well-known and richest franchises in the history of sports, not just American sports, not just the NBA, but sports. He has them by the balls. Like, that is psychopath shit, the way he has him. But that's it, just basketball stuff. Because outside of that, he a dumbass. Outside of that, he likes to pretend like he's smarter than he actually is. Outside of that, he pretends that he has more depth to him than just basketball, when that's actually just not the case. He does have a need to feel accepted, which is like that's probably why he is so obsessed with controlling his narrative. And like, since he was a kid, you gotta think, bro, he's been doing this since he was a kid, and it's much easier to get away with it and not be criticized for it when you literally are the best player in the world in high school for 4 years straight, right? Because he was. when people are watching your high school games on ESPN, it's hard for people not to allow you to call yourself king, right? When Kobe's going down and they don't have anybody else and you force your way to Miami because you see the opportunity that's about to arise because Kobe's getting older, right? Like, he knew, like, it's Miami, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and now we have the guy who could be the next guy. Like, he took advantage of the opportunity. But it used to be a joke. People forget, it used to be actually a joke that LeBron James could ever be considered better than Kobe Bryant. I mean, I still don't think that you compare prime LeBron, prime Kobe. Actually, it's not even close, and people don't know that for whatever reason. But if you take the best 10 years of both, like, Kobe outpaces LeBron by a lot. So in a harder conference with harder competition at his position, I'm gonna put it like this. They weren't drafting LeBron stoppers. I don't know if y'all recall, but there were literally people who have NBA careers because they were drafted to be Kobe stoppers. Shane Battier got drafted because he wrote an entire playbook on Kobe's moves and how to stop him, even though he wasn't really that successful because you can't. But he at least made him work a little bit harder than other people. But yeah, Shane Battier was drafted to guard Kobe. Rajah Bell was drafted to guard Kobe. There was a whole fleet of defenders. Tony Allen, another one. Like, Kobe was different in the same beast. There was real depth to Kobe. Kobe is not a fake smart black. Kobe is actually smart. He was also a psychopath in a lot of ways, but he knew how to get the best out of people by even putting on a mask like he was like an asshole, even when he wasn't. Like, he can be, but he just knew what to turn on. Probably from being a girl dad. I don't know. That might be it. But he just knew when to turn on the asshole and turn on the nice guy. Like, he knew. Exploitation is a hell of a drug. Yeah, it is. LeBron said, I'm going to get a ring. Yeah, you talking about the puppet commercials? The Nike puppet commercials? I think it was Nike. Oh, man. Now, Sophia said you got to play a certain game to be that rich up to now. To be that rich? Yeah. Especially doing media, yeah. You got to play a certain game, and you got to be lucky at it on top of that. Because there are people, like, I know we tend to believe that, like, oh, as long as you're willing to play, as long as you're willing to play that game, you can be rich. And she said, nah, there are people who try to play and they're not good. They're just not good at it. There were people who were placed in front of us, and the full intention of the establishment or the elite or the powers that be were to uplift them into a certain role so that we would view them in a certain light. Controversial as like, or non-controversial as they may be. And it just didn't work. That happens a lot, actually. I've seen it on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Like, they'll take somebody who was popular on TikTok, try them on Instagram, and it's like they get mixed results. But then they'll try to bring them in that mindset over to YouTube and Twitter, and they bring them in their takes over from TikTok to YouTube and Twitter, and they flounder because they're different. The way to get famous on TikTok, it does not necessarily translate to the way you would get famous on Instagram. And the way you get famous on Instagram definitely does not translate to the way you get famous on YouTube or Twitter, for example. Twitter is the hardest to gain notoriety because it's probably because of the algorithm, to be honest with you. But people tend, on Instagram, people have various followers and they follow various people for various reasons. And that affects your algorithm. Some people have accounts specifically dedicated to certain things, but other people just have accounts and it is follow random people for random reasons. On Twitter, it's different because you get pushed into a niche fast with the algorithm. So if you try, it's like late, it's almost too late now to come out and try to be super balanced and then be successful, unless you know someone who can help you become successful. Like, that's a whole different thing. But like, you can't come from Instagram and expect to have the same success on Twitter. It doesn't work like that. I've managed to find success on all three platforms, but it's it's because of different reasons. And on YouTube, obviously, but it's actually because of different reasons. People wouldn't think that because my takes sound similar, but it's different perspectives, oftentimes of the same takes. It's different perspective or different presentation of the same takes on various issues. And I know which takes are more important to people on Instagram that are trending and which takes are more important on Twitter at the time. Because Twitter is always 3 days ahead of everybody. So there's that. But yeah, there are people who actually, they try to play the game and they can't even, it is harder now than it was. And you do, but if you do successfully play, if you do end up being like Ben Shapiro, but Ben Shapiro, his dad forced him into the spotlight. I would say Cenk, unfortunately, at the time, played successfully, right? He left MSNBC. Everybody thought that he was a renegade for doing so, not realizing that all those investments that came, if he was a renegade, he would have never gotten those investments to start TYT from the very people that he supposedly was running away from because he didn't want to be controlled by them, right? He switched over from being a Republican to liberal, even though it was clearly an opportunistic thing, right? So, but he played the game, and look at where he look at what he's gotten for it. Sam Seder is a failed comedian who played the game, and he's been rewarded for it. I will never know who the hell is getting on. He's not where he used to be, but in Sam Seder's prime, right? There was a time where people watched Sam Seder and his show, and then TYT, before everybody woke the fuck up. But there was a time where people would watch the two and watch them whatever, kind of in the background, or they actually valued their opinions. And I was, even then, before he just went full shit lib, I was like, why does anybody watch Sam Seder? I can't believe that there are people who pay monthly to watch this content. I was genuinely perturbed. I'm just befuddled, guys, because, and then somebody, the internet, had the audacity to let me know that he actually is, technically speaking, a comedian. I couldn't believe it. I was like, there's no way that this guy is famous. Damn sure for not for being a comedian of all things. And not like, oh, he does comedic stuff on the side. Like, that was his first thing. He was principally a comedian before he became a podcaster that talks about politics. Could not believe it. And I'm like, who is elevating this man and why? But the reason why, you find out later on, oh, he's here to push a certain agenda. He's here to make sure that other people push a certain agenda. He's here to keep there's those algorithm gatekeepers, right? They're supposed to keep each other in check. And what TYT would do is, if they saw your potential while you were growing, they would bring you under their network, the umbrella. And yeah, they would take a portion of what you made off YouTube. But the flip side of that is that you never get punished. You would never get punished by the algorithm. In fact, you would get benefits from it, but you would never get punished by the algorithm as long as you were under the YouTube umbrella officially. The reason why is because TYT has an agreement with YouTube to the point where they would scrub dislikes. Y'all remember whenever me and Anna Kasparian had our beef, and we were going back and forth, and she tried to attack me and Tulsi on her channel, and they scrubbed. It was like straight dislikes, like 20 likes and straight dislikes. And then a minute later, they scrubbed every dislike. So yeah, we learned that. Didn't know that they could do that, but that's what they do. So yeah, no, I heard that he was on Sex and the City. I heard that he appeared on Seventh Heaven once or something like that. Talking about Sam Seder. But who is he? And who thought that he was talented? He's not even a great public speaker. Bro, I'm like, holy shit, I can't even watch this shit on ×2 speed because it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna get 2 times the and he says something that's like a non sequitur that doesn't make any sense. And then I was always more, I would watch some of Sam Seder's live streams only because I was genuinely interested to know what kind of people were watching his channel voluntarily. I understood TYT put a lot of money into production. It's part of the reason they went broke, because they would put a lot of money into producing bullshit. The production value was off the charts, though. You got to give TYT that. Back in the day, boy, they used to produce some shows, but then their opinions would be shit. So that explains why they went broke. But with this, it's not even like the production value is uniquely great on Sam Teeter's show, but somehow, man, just was getting, usually by mentioning Jimmy Dore, but somehow the man was constantly growing, and I was genuinely confused. I'm still confused as to how he maintained any level of popularity. But that's because that's what happens when you're chosen. TYT tried to choose me. Jordan Sheridan, while he was working for TYT, right before they started TYT Politics, they tried to recruit me to be one of their investigative journalists, and I would have been on the team with Jordan Sheridan. Shit, I want to say Emma was on that team too at the time. It would have been me, Jordan Sheridan, Emma Vigilant, I think one more person. And basically, it was on some like, nah, bro, like if I had an opinion, I was not going to be willing to change that opinion. And it became very, very aware. They became very aware of that. So they were seeing my rise, because this was during the time of the DNC fraud lawsuit. And it was like one of those situations where it's like, we got to get him now, because otherwise he's going to be a problem. Right. So, and I was. So in their defense, they were right about that. RIP Michael Brooks, but I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I was never a Michael Brooks fan. I didn't like Michael Brooks. We had our personal beef, but like, not when it wasn't personal, it was political. But he would lie to his audience about like facts, right? Objective facts. And he knew that his audience would believe him, because I mean, all of our audiences are kind of like that sometimes. They just believe. If you have a favorite, then you have faith that that favorite will not mislead you purposefully. So he got mad at something I said, which was factually true, because he was saying that he was anti-war, and I just called out Bernie. I think, he was saying that Bernie Sanders was the most anti-war, anti-regime change candidate. And at that time, that was not true, because Tulsi was running. And at that time, Tulsi was absolutely on, like, through legislatively, literally, and through her verbiage, she was more anti-war, anti-regime change than Bernie, because that was just objective fact at the time. And so I corrected him, but then, now it was on Twitter, and we went back and forth. And I told him I would debate him for it, because I had already gotten done debating Ben Burgess, and that was like the audacity. He did not prepare for that debate, and I'm still offended by the fact that he thought that he was just going to walk up, like in my face, not literally, but I get really offended when people don't prepare for debates with me, because if you've seen my debates and you've watched my programs, especially back then you would know. And I've made it very clear. Yeah, I was the closest thing to a professional debater. Like all these little YouTube debaters, that's not professional. I'm talking about in an environment, we got 3 judges. There is a categorical, there's a metric to judge your success, and there is a winner who is rewarded at the end, and there are consequences to your victory or your loss. That is that is what I would consider a professional debate, and I was debating the best in the country and winning. That is what I meant. And I've said this on my shows, and they just decided they wanted to debate me because they saw some tweets, and they would try to debate me based off of shit they saw on Twitter. They would literally take tweets and try to combat me with tweets. I'm like, this is so disrespectful. I promise you, if I was a white boy, I wouldn't do this, but whatever. I digress. So anyway, he said that he doubled down on Bernie's anti-regime change candidate, which is a lie, right? Because we know actually Bernie did support the regime change in Libya. He was in support of the regime change with Assad. His comments on Maduro were suspect at the time. Like all you could really point to was the war in Iraq. So he then says on the same stream that basically I will say whatever I have to get Bernie Sanders elected. And I don't care if I have to lie to do so. Like, I'll lie. He straight up said that. I don't know if y'all remember that. But when he said that, I'm like, bro, for real? Why is anybody taking this man seriously? Like, he literally said, I would never lie for anybody. I don't care who I support or don't support. if I don't like you, I'm not gonna lie about you. I can just tell you. Usually, if I don't like you, there's a reason. I'm just gonna tell the truth. But when he said that, I was like, I can't believe that we are even having this conversation. What? Why are you even bringing this to my attention? He's not worth. And then people were still defending him. And then he came back at me on Twitter, and I told him like, bro, why? We both have cameras. We both have microphones. Why are you talking to me through Twitter? Just debate. Because he tried to dog whistle. Yeah, he tried to say some racist dog whistle shit. I wish I could remember. I can't lie. I'm not gonna make up what he said, but it was some racist dog whistle and shit. I'm gonna put it like that. And I was like, bro, I'm not doing this with you. Are you on debate? Because you know this is Michael. Everybody who remembers Michael Brooks, he loved debating. He was very articulate. And for the most part, he was actually a very intelligent individual. So like debating, getting a chance to debate his point of view, he usually loved it until it was time to debate me. That happened a lot, actually. That happened a lot. Because me and Michael had relatively, at that time, outside of his show with Sam, we had relatively the same amount of audience, same amount of followers on Twitter. Like we were known, we were relatively well known. Everybody knew us. I mean, hell, everybody was telling us to debate at the time. Because it was like Sam, y'all know Sam and Jimmy was, well, I wouldn't even call it Sam and Jimmy were going through their beef, because it's really Sam didn't like Jimmy. It was beefing with Jimmy, and Jimmy would never mention Sam, and it really upset him. It was funny. And then me and Anna had our thing, but then hell, at one point, Jank and Kyle were going through their thing, and then me and Michael were going through our thing. Oh, me and Michael, and then me and what's that dickhead from Humanist Report? I can't remember. And Rational National. Rational National got upset because I kept just embarrassing him on Twitter, so he blocked me eventually. And then his name was Mike. Yeah, his name was Mike too. I don't remember what his last name was. Not him, not Rational National. His name was David, I think. But from Humanist Report, I think his name was Mike too. Don't quote me on that. He got upset on Twitter too, because we called his ass out, and he didn't. I was like, just dropping facts as usual. He got upset and blocked me. He didn't want to debate. So then Michael Brooks was the last one left, and he was scared to debate. So he tried to send some weirdo to debate me. I was like, whatever, bro. Like, I'll debate. It was some black kid from California who used to try to give Michael Brooks a black card. And I'm like, yeah, nah, I don't really care. Like, you don't know Michael Brooks like I do, man. I'm like, look, man, I'm not here to debate your love affair with Michael Brooks. But if you want to debate, he got really upset. And funny enough, at the time, he was like, he thought I was pretending to know Portuguese. And I wasn't fluent in Portuguese at the time, but that was my major in college. It was my second. If you went to UNC, or if you know somebody at UNC, you know we all have like 2 or 3 majors. So generally, you have a major in your first thing, second thing, and then a language, a minor in the language. So I majored in comparative politics. I majored in comparative politics, Brazilian Portuguese, and my minor was in Korean. So yeah, I spoke Portuguese. And my ex at the time was a Brazilian of Korean descent. So I'm like, and he's like, was trying to like ask me questions in Portuguese. And I'm like, respond, like, why are we doing this? Do you want to debate or not? He got upset. It was hilarious. He was like, yeah, Michael, I held you down, bro. Like, yeah, this is weird. Like, Michael, why are you ducking? Do not duck. Stop hiding. But he ducked and he hid. So, but my thing is, I'm one of those types that's like, when it comes to this, y'all know how seriously I take this job. I will never mislead you intentionally. I will never lie to you intentionally. I will never, like, there's no ulterior motive to anything I'm saying. All of my intentions are usually put out there and made clear. And I take it offensive because, I mean, it might be because like I came from nothing. I didn't have a big network just when we started up. I had y'all know how it was. iPhone camera, iPhone 6, and my little headphones. They weren't even Bluetooth headphones at the time. We were still with the little microphone holding it up like this. Okay. And so when I saw people I didn't realize how rampant it was that people would just manipulate their audiences to such a degree that it was clear they were pushing their own agenda. And that happened way too often. And I just was not with I was not with it, yo. Like, and I definitely had a habit of calling it out. But I was generally respectful about it at first until people started getting disrespectful and ducking and dodging. Cause like, my thing is, if you believe in what you're saying and we both have cameras, we both have audiences, and we can find a mutual party to moderate the debate, why are we talking on Twitter? Why aren't we just debate? Why wouldn't we just debate? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, because you're worried that if you have to answer questions in real time, live, that your logic isn't going to hold up. More importantly to them and their brand, their principles or lack thereof, their moral inconsistency would get exposed. And mine would be, oh shit. There's a lot of people, when I would debate, I've debated a few people now I'm thinking about it during that little 2020 election, between 2018, 2019, 2020. I debated a lot of people. One person ended up like going crazy after and like just left the political sphere. I don't remember what that person's name was at this point, but they were so upset that they left completely. I don't even remember who they were supporting at the time. It wasn't Bernie though. I feel like it might have been like an Andrew Yang person. This person like went crazy and left after that debate. Yeah. I did debate another Bernie supporter. I thought the debate was actually civilized. Nah, at the end of it, they kind of went crazy too and they left. They were like one of the growing channels and it just got exposed. There was another person, like, what was it? Was another Bernie supporter? I don't remember what it was. Maybe single pair. Oh, it was Anomaly. I debated Anomaly. And Pasta moderated the debate. And Anomaly rage quit. Which is funny because he swore what he was trying to do. You know how conservatives do. Well, really all liberals too. But conservatives, when you're black and they're debating you, what they like to do is they like to dog whistle and they take jabs at your intelligence. And they try to make the unconscious factor of the fact that like a white guy is debating a black guy and the default of the average human being of being partial to the white guy, that they try to put it on the table and make the black person react. It is literally a debate topic or tactic. Kind of goes back to what that Marvel conversation we had, like when two white guys enter the room and they have to, and this is a room full of like minorities or women or whatever, but they know that they're the two white guys, they're the two decent looking white males. There's going to be a competition to see who the alpha is, and they're the only ones who are going to know that it's happening. And they're both conscious that it's happening. Yeah, it's like that. They know that there's unfortunately a visceral partiality towards whiteness in this particular space, and that I would have to overprove I would have to overprove my point, and no matter what it is, for anyone to think that I'm even competent enough to be in the debate, let alone win it. So usually that whole myth gets dispelled within 30 seconds. The first 30 seconds of every debate that I've ever been in, for the most part, the person, because you give the opening statement if it's well organized, the person on the other end of the camera, you can actually see their face like, you know what? I didn't think this through. I should, just maybe, I should have thought this through a little more before I stepped into a ring or an arena with somebody who literally did this. Bro, I was a high schooler, y'all. I was a high schooler who spent my Saturdays voluntarily paying to go argue with people. It was fun for me. That was my idea of a great Saturday. I didn't spend it playing video games. I didn't spend my Saturdays outside. Not from freshman year to my senior year. That was like a Sunday or a Friday thing. That wasn't what I did, guys. 90% of the time, I was at a debate tournament and it was voluntary. I love that shit. Okay. And I was the best at it. So about 30 seconds in, usually people, they get pissed, they get flustered, and then they just immediately start personally attacking me. It's hilarious. Their audience gets upset because they were expecting something different. They're like, who the hell is this guy? He's so disingenuous. I'm like, y'all saying everything, but Nico is wrong, and here's why. Because usually I'm not wrong. I'm not going to go into a debate that I couldn't win. That'd be dumb. Joseph Bett said, debate me, bro. Nobody, I haven't had somebody say that in a long time. Not really. You remember my debate with Andreas Cyberdemon. Oh, I forgot about that. And then the next day we exposed her as a former guy who was a neo-Nazi who transitioned because she wasn't getting enough attention as a guy, as like a neo-Nazi conservative guy, because she transitioned into a girl and became a hyper liberal girl, and but didn't tell anybody. But then somebody went back and did some op research on her and found all this stuff out. Bruh, it was crazy. I remembered it. Damn, I've had way too many debates. Way too many. Not enough, actually. Not enough. I love them. JB, man, you know I can train you, dog. For sure. Refilling. Sorry, guys. Coming back in a second. My natural orange juice. Yeah, Ryan, I remember that debate. Cool. Anomaly. So, Sophia, Anomaly only recently started criticizing the right because his grift. So, for people who don't remember, Anomaly was actually a leftist. Anomaly was actually extremely pro Bernie, but Anomaly, above any and everything else, is a self-marketer. He's very good at that. I will give him that. And when you can edit your own videos, when you're and you're talented in that regard, and you know how to capture people's attention by storytelling, which Anomaly, once again, is good at, and I'll give him a lot of credit on that. Like, whenever you enter this particular space, this political space, I'm automatically skeptical of your intentions. And after Bernie submitted in 2016, you could see Anomaly's transition. And you can see that it also wasn't natural. Because all of a sudden, because my thing is, once again, you can go from, like, if there was people who went from Bernie to Trump and it actually wasn't, and they didn't say it's because Trump has Bernie's policies, and it was like very specifically like, man, I got two middle fingers for the Democratic Party. At least they believe Trump would stand on business. They revered the fact that Trump challenged his own party and Bernie would not. It was things like that. And like a lot of it was just at the Democratic Party. That's where a lot of people were at. Anything to piss off Hillary Clinton, which admittedly, my petty side is like, you know what? That might be, I might put that on my list of valid reasons to at the time to vote for him. If that was why you did it, I wasn't going to be mad at you. But when you go from I support universal health care to now I'm going to do everything in my power to preach against it and criticize anyone who does support it. Now I'm like, so you supported universal health care this entire time? And now you don't, conveniently, after you stop supporting Bernie and start supporting somebody who doesn't support it? Does it have anything to do with your recent audience growth? Because, back then, people, what was the best way to get famous? It was to be that leftist or the liberal that became a hyper-conservative. That's what Candace Owens did. That's what Dave Rubin did. There's a huge list of people. Or you make the flip from conservative to being a actual leftist, like not like a liberal either. Oh no, actually going liberal was a good way too, but not anywhere near as like if you became a actual true blue like leftist. So you can make that trend, but most of them weren't making genuine transitions. Most of those conservatives who became leftists were actually neoliberals, and they were waiting for their opportunity to tell you to go vote for Joe Biden. And those leftists who became conservatives were only just pro-Trump and trying to take advantage of the wave that they created because they realized, damn, without Bernie, I actually have nothing to talk about. So let me go follow Trump's wave so I can tap into the sycophancy of the Trump supporters. So I ain't got time for all that. I ain't about to kiss nobody's ass just because it gets me followers. I just, if I support your policies, I support your policies, but I'm not going to, I still support universal health care. I live in a country where I'm watching it work and they have less resources than the United States does by far. And it still works. It still works. So, and in this particular country's, in Brazil's case, they have a public-private system. In other words, they have a fully public system. You can also buy private healthcare, and their public system works within their private system, or the reverse. In other words, I can go to, there's a clinic that we go to that literally it's both public and private. But if they have private doctors that work in a public clinic, so if I want to buy public or private healthcare and go to that clinic, I can still go to it. It would just be a different, it's like just an administrative thing, right? I can request a very specific person. I can choose a very specific hospital or clinic if I want to, and it's fine. And actually, the drugs are cheaper by far. The prescriptions are far more cheap because the pharmaceutical industry isn't manipulating to the degree that they are in the U.S. So, yeah. You must drink. Who said that? They would. You said Titus said, "I'll debate you, but you have to only speak Portuguese." You know what? I can do that. It won't be like smooth. It won't be the smoothest, but to be honest, debating in Portuguese, if not, as long as you're not speaking in Portuguese too, I can. Actually, sometimes it's easier to understand that. So it's easier for me to understand professional Portuguese than colloquial, like random people on the street Portuguese, especially because I know the context, so I can understand you, and I can probably, and the words that you would use in a political debate are very like they're cognates almost. So in other words, the Portuguese word sounds like it would sound in English, if that makes sense. So there are times where I'm talking to people here and they don't understand something I said, but it's not because I said the word wrong. It's actually because I'm using a word they don't ever hear. Because it's like, it would be like me going to New York and saying it in English. They're like, what the hell are you talking about? Why are you out here using what do they always say? Why are you out here using SAT words like that? So is weed legal in Brazil? Nah, man, not yet. We getting there. That's one of my knocks on Lula, man. He campaigned on legalizing marijuana. He letting us down. He still got goddamn Bolpe, like got the elite squad out here going into Cidade de Deus, City of God, and acting like they're doing these military operations, and it's really just to put on the show to act like they're doing something. But they're really not. They be working together. They literally bro, I promise y'all, they put a live stream up. So they show where the military police are going in the city to bust these drug lords as it's happening. So like the drug lords won't be there because they already know. Like you can watch the news or watch YouTube and you can see where the cops are going, and they're announcing like on the news, like every place that they're going and where they're about to go next. It's ridiculous. So yeah, Lula has been somewhat of a disappointment. I know some people say internationally he's been okay, and he has. I'll say that. But he's actually made life a little bit more difficult for poor people in Brazil, if I'm being completely honest. For working class and poor people in Brazil, he's actually made life more difficult. He's not made life easier. And that's a little bit upsetting because I would like to prefer him to the racist psychopath that was Bolsonaro, because he is one of those. He's like, dog, you know what? This man, Bolsonaro, like basically he was upset at the fact he had a daughter. Like seriously, he said it in a speech, like, almost, because he has all boys except for the daughter. He was like, almost perfect, but I got a daughter. So like, he was dead serious. Dude got problems. Yes, you were correct, Joseph. Bolpe, that is exactly what they'd be doing. But I will say it's not as bad as it used to be, according to a lot of people. And Cidade de Deus is a little bit different than other favelas because of the history behind it, but also because of what you saw in the movies, because the police are involved in a lot of that shit. That's how it keeps going. I mean, that's how it is in the US. It ain't no different here. It's probably worse. Bro, you see, Brazilian people in general, y'all know how they have their stereotype for being very lackadaisical and chill, right? À vontade. They just like to do things when they feel like doing it, how they feel like doing it, and they're not really about to be pressed by nothing. Brazilian time is its own thing entirely. I know Latin Americans tend to be late to things. Brazilians will tell you we're gonna be there around 12 or 12:30. That really means 12 to 1:30 or 2, maybe. Because if you made the plans with them, in their minds, you canceled all your plans that day and you're only waiting for them. That's not how real life works, but that's how Brazilian people work. And they are not about to be pressed because you gave them a specific time. They're like, we gave you a general window. Like, we thought that if you made plans with us, this was going to be your day. That is literally how they work, bro. I went to a barbecue that originally started at, like, this was on Friday, I think, Friday or Saturday, was barbecue that's supposed to start at 5, bro. Then I got told that the time was changed to 6. Then it was 6:30. And we looking at, this was my neighbor, so I'm like looking outside like, bro, you ain't starting nothing. You good, man? Like, I call him. He don't get to his house until 6:45. The barbecue was supposed to start at 6. And it's not even for him. He's throwing it for somebody else. So I'm like, yo, what, you want us to come over? Like, you good? You need some help? Nah, man, I'm gonna call you whenever we start, because it's the barbecue, and it ended up being a street full of people. Like, the whole block was filled with people for this barbecue. So, but what was funny is I'm thinking like, there is no one at the house yet. Y'all said the barbecue started at 6:30. There's no one at the house at 6:30, and he didn't show up until 6:45. He didn't show up. I'm like, it was gonna be a little minute. At 7:30, they finally are ready to have people over. They just call us, come over, we kick it and catch up. And then like maybe 2 or 3 people show up. People didn't really show up until about 8:30 at night. People. The barbecue started, the flyer literally said 6:30. No, excuse me, 6. My apologies. Said 6. The person throwing the barbecue he didn't show up until 6:45. That is what I mean when I say Brazilians be on it. And what's crazy is no one mad about it. No one upset. No one's like me. I'd be pissed. I am a very punctual individual, y'all. I'll be trying to be everywhere 10 minutes. Hell, usually 20 to 30 minutes early, because I need to look around at me. It might be an anxious thing. I have anxiety from growing up in the area I grew up in. And so I need to know where my exits are. I need to see how other people interact with other people before I interact with them. I need to be in my space and create the aura of my space and curate the aura of my and the energy of my space before everybody comes here. I need to drink a little bit, like not even necessarily alcohol, just something. I need to be comfortable mentally and emotionally. I don't like showing up because y'all don't know, but if you know me personally, or if you've been around me personally, for whatever reason, when I walk to a room, everybody wants to ask me 1,000 questions, even if I've never met them. Oh no, especially if I've never met them before. It's like, oh, Nico's here. Now the party just shifts. It happens with my brother too. Actually, it happens with all my siblings for the most part. Whenever we walk to the room, the whole room just turns, and it's like we get engulfed. My wife is still trying to like deal with it. She doesn't really know. Like, she's like, what the hell? Why is this always happening? I'm like, I don't even know. Because you have to remember, when I walk into a room here, it's not, if they don't know me, their assumption is I'm Brazilian. So it's even more confusing. We don't really know why it happens. It's funny, but it's very emotionally and energetically like draining at times. So as flattering as it can be, it's also kind of like, I gotta have a whole mental prep, especially when I first moved here. Cause you gotta remember, when I first moved here, I'm trying to learn not just Portuguese. I'm trying to learn Rio. I'm trying to learn Carioca Portuguese, which is a whole different thing. And you think you understand one person until you talk to the next person. And you think you understand this woman until you talk to this woman. And you think you understand this guy until you talk to the next guy. So that was stressful. I'm having to have her translate. And because I know it sounds kind of weird, but if you maybe have had bilingual parents, or like parents who don't speak English or like your language, you talk to them, there are people who can actually just communicate with their parents or their significant other, even if they can't speak the language fluently to everybody else, which I learned is actually a thing. There are times where I go out, or we will go out, and somebody would say something to me, but I didn't understand them. And they'll say it like 2 or 3 times, but then she tells me whatever they said. And I'm like, oh, and then I respond. And they think that I'm just like playing with them, like, oh, you're being an asshole. And I'm like, no, I didn't understand you when you said it. I understood it when she said it. My bad. So there were back then, it was much harder to want to go out to public places that we were invited to because so many people would want to talk to me. But then that would throw her in a situation where now she has to translate and be there and kind of like babysit because I'm like, what the hell is going on, y'all? Like and they don't want to, Brazilians, they don't got no, they ain't about to slow down, bro. They just, you would think that once they hear, oh, you're not Brazilian, you're American and you're learning the language, let me speak in a way that's easier for you to understand. Like whenever I meet a Brazilian, I met like 3 Brazilians here in total that speak English or can understand it at least. I speak in a way that they'll understand. I don't use slang. I speak very clearly so that we can communicate because I'm aware that they're still learning. Yeah, that shit does not matter to them. Not with me. Nope, they don't care. They're like, well, you look Brazilian enough and you know some words and you understand, you have an accent when you speak. So there you go. Bruh. Whole thing. So I be having to get to places early out here. But I had to learn after my wife told me, like, that's the way of things out here, bro. Like you can't get mad about it. I used to get so pissed because I would invite people over and they just would be late. I'm like, then why the hell did y'all ask to come over? Well, don't waste my time. I got shit to do. Like, because if I tell you a certain time, it's because because I'm American. If I tell you a certain time, there's a reason I told you that time. It wasn't it's like I could be doing this, but I chose to do this at this time or later on. Therefore, if I give you this window, you should know that there's a reason for this window. But that's not how Brazilians think. Brazilians think if we schedule plans together today, once you gave me the start time, the rest of your day is open. I can show up when I feel like it. That's how they are. It's funny. It's actually pretty hilarious. It is now. It wasn't before. I used to get fucking pissed before. But it also told me that Americans, we be pressed as hell. We are very, very pressed. Y'all, we do not take time to stop and smell the roses anymore. That is like I walk fast everywhere. Here, like I did it in the States, I do it here. The average Brazilian does not. They are taking their time, bro. I gotta walk around them. Like they be walking, even when they walking for working out, they be walking slow sometimes. Like it's just their nature. Like they be walking around the mall slow. They're when they're at work, they do everything slow, bro. When I was waiting for my damn son to be born, I almost lost my mind because I felt like every nurse and doctor was just moving at their own time, like she not giving birth. That's just how they are. Like, but the food arrives fast. I'll tell you right now. I'll take iFood over Uber Eats any day of the week because they be zooming through traffic because you can only drive if you drive. So their version of Uber Eats is or DoorDash is called iFood, and you can only drive a motorcycle or a bike. So they are allowed to skip through traffic, and so the food arrives on time and hot normally. So that's pretty dope. But that's it. That's the only thing that's arriving early is the food because it damn sure ain't gonna be nobody else. Y'all know we had my oldest birthday party last month, and everybody arrived late. There was one person who arrived early because she had to leave early. It was his aunt or his cousin, excuse me. But yeah, everybody arrived late. Everybody. Even the woman who was supposed to arrive to set up the party, who was supposed to be there at 10 a.m., she don't show up until 3 p.m. And sorry, man. It is what it is. And just knew we were gonna be okay with it. Just was expecting us to be okay with it. I'm like, shocked. All right, I'm just gonna try not to stress. So as y'all can imagine, like Brazil's like one of the only places in the world where you can schedule a doctor's appointment and that shit does not matter. Because whatever time you schedule for your doctor's appointment, that ain't got to do it. That has nothing to do with when the doctor felt like being at work that day. That I scheduled a doctor appointment at 9 a.m. And that mother decided that day he was showing up at 11 a.m. and that's when I got my appointment. And he's like, all right, I can start coming, I guess. Like, that's my only, and I'm like, what the hell? I thought I'm paying for private health care and all that. No, man, like, hey, no, it's not because of that. He showed up at work at 11. Okay, like, nope. He don't have a schedule? He does, but sometimes he just chooses to show up at work at 11 or sometimes 10:30. Or no, I'm like, but he knew that he had appointments at 9. He still shows. Yeah, sometimes he forgets. So basically, what you're telling me is he does what he wants. This is what you're telling? Yeah. Sabby said Uber Eats drop off food and don't say anything. Yeah, you can well, I know you can actually set your settings to that now, but nah, like that used to piss me off when they were supposed to knock on my door. So if you can, I do have a dog, or I did have my dog in the States, you could hear him through the door. And if they hear like the paws of a dog, they'll drop that shit off and just, if they're scared of dogs, they take off. Don't even say nothing. I'm like, yo, it's been a while. Like, why haven't we gotten an update about the food? Let me check my phone. I found out they dropped it off supposedly, but I didn't hear anything about it. And I go out 30 minutes later, and it's my food cold as hell because they didn't say anything. Uber Eats be on some shit. Y'all know, bro, Uber Eats and DoorDash low key, they got to a point, I don't know if it's because of the pandemic or what, but it got to a point where they just stopped giving up. They just don't care. Because it's such a hassle sometimes to get your money back. They're not really going to be reprimanding like that. Sometimes you don't got the energy to argue with them. Like, it's just, but I live in Brazil, so I be having energy. I got all the energy to argue with people out here. I'm like, I'm happy and relaxed. I don't be stressing. Well, I got stressed about my family stuff, but that's like, whatever. But like, sometimes I just be on a random Thursday and Friday. I order something and they forgot my sauce. Well, guess what's about to happen today? Somebody about to bring their ass right back here or go back to the restaurant and y'all gonna bring my sauce. Because this food, like the whole point of me ordering this is because I wanted my sauce with this dish. So we're gonna sit here for the next 2 hours until the situation gets reconciled. Obrigado. Ciao. He said they blame everything on traffic. Oh, he talking about in Brazil. Sim, o trânsito é muito. Esse trânsito. Yeah. Boy, it's like, but you knew that traffic was gonna be like that before you left the house. You left at 5. You knew that the traffic was. First of all, the traffic shouldn't have been a problem because I told you to show up at 3. If you'd have left at 2 to get here at 3, you wouldn't dealt with the traffic. But of course, the transit or the traffic was a problem when you left at 4:45. You knew, because we all know when there's rush hour traffic. They'd be like, yeah, man, the traffic on the way to the traffic was crazy though. Man. He said, and there'd be no traffic. That part. And there'll be the days where there's no traffic. They'll hit you on a Sunday. Nobody outside talk about something. That transit was crazy. It's like, boy, you know, I got Google, I got maps, right? I can see the traffic I can see the traffic on the route. I can type in the route from your house to my house and see that there was no traffic and no accident. Woo, boy. Yeah, Brazilians, they got 3 things out here: ass, food, and excuses. They good at those. And they'll just change the subject on you. They won't even let you address the clear bullshit that they just fed you. They just change the subject, man. How the kids doing, man? Tudo bem? Tudo certo? Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So Via said, no, Brazilians don't have that awareness when talking. No, they do not. Nah, hell no. No. Brazilians actually have, it is a very, very, for me, and it could be because, I don't know if it's because I'm American or if it's because I'm Black or because I'm self-aware naturally. But for me, the lack of self-awareness that Brazilians have is daunting. I can't believe the lack of awareness. I feel like it's almost a survival instinct. They do not give a damn, bro. They say stuff in front of certain people that they probably shouldn't be saying stuff in front of. Hell, that could be a Latino thing, honestly. But they say stuff in front of people they probably shouldn't be saying stuff in front of. They ask you things that they probably shouldn't be asking. Like they'll straight up ask me, "Yo, man, how much money you make?" I'm like, "Hold up, wait, what? What? That is a question. Why are you asking me that?" Like, and I don't know how to respond. I'm like, because I don't know the culture, so I'm like, do I respond to that? My girl like, no, don't respond to that. That's not their business. So I'm like, but why would they ask me? They don't know that that's rude because that would be considered rude in the U.S. We don't even know each other. We're not friends. I just met you like 10 minutes ago. And she's like, no, they're just being nosy. I'm like, then you telling me that they were, no one around them said that was rude. But it's, it's rude, so that they should know it's rude. So, and no one around them said it was rude. She's like, yeah, no, because they were probably being nosy too. They were curious as to how you were going to respond because you didn't know, you're not going to know it's rude. So they wanted to see how you, I'm like, that's crazy. So they just don't give a damn, basically. She's like, nah, that's how Brazilians are. Yeah, they don't be doing like, you know how Americans have a natural instinct to play this like 3D chess kind of game when they first engage and like and interact with people socially. Brazilians have their like, they're very polite when because it's like part of the culture. But then like after that, there is no like, they don't be doing the mask thing like that. They are horrible at it, and that's probably a Latin thing, but it's definitely a Brazilian thing. They don't got like 3 levels of, I'm gonna say this so I can see what you're gonna say, and then we're gonna go from there, and then I'm gonna figure out how I'm gonna treat you based off of what. Nah, they ain't doing all that. They gonna figure out they like you or not, and once they decide they don't like you, they gonna treat you like accordingly. They decide they like you a lot, they gonna treat you accordingly. Like there are times where you gonna meet a Brazilian, y'all gonna talk for 5 minutes, and y'all made the decision, y'all are best friends now. Y'all are officially best friends. That is literally how Brazil works. It's really funny. You said every second person in Brazil probably knows Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu too. I think that depends on the area. There are it is extremely popular, obviously. Like, but it's like, I wouldn't say it's as popular as soccer is, but it's like up there. If a person can afford to do the class, a lot of times they'll put their kid in at least a few classes. So yeah, it's up there. I was at a block party this weekend, and it was like a Mother's Day block party on Sunday, and it was big. It was huge. And it's nicer neighborhood, and has basketball courts, soccer, and all that good stuff. And y'all know what happened, man? This man try to test me, man. Y'all know people see the gray in the beard, and they like, oh man, it's an old guy. Me and my boy just shooting around, whatever. I'm trying to get his fundamentals right, and I'm trying to get a little cardio in. And he asked me, are you American? Because like, when you're playing, my expressions playing basketball are usually American expressions. Like I'm just talking to myself. And I was like, oh yeah, man, I'm American. This is in Portuguese, but he plays for a junior, like what I guess would be considered junior college out here. And he kind of makes a joke saying like, yeah, man, like Americans aren't really as good as like what it looks like in the movies, right? Or whatever. Like they're not good as they say they are. Like it's just like some, because I played for my junior college and we were all really good. And I feel like they're as good as the people I see on TV. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, is he joking? Like I know that your ass is not telling an American black man of all things, of all people, that Americans are not that good at basketball. And I wanted to be, I couldn't, because I'm not at the point of fluency that I can just get pissed and just start flying off the handle. I can with my kids, but that's different. But like, I'm like, what did you just say? And he's like, I'm just like joking. Like, it's not like Brazilians with soccer. Like most Brazilians are really that good at soccer. First of all, no, not all of them are that good at soccer. The average soccer player is better here because of how popular the sport is. But the average basketball player in the US if they play, they're better than the average basketball player anywhere else. I don't give a damn. Like, as somebody who's played for a long time. So he was basically saying, like, just joking, because I'm not really playing. He's taller, about 6'2", 6'3", plays for a school, and he's already convinced himself, because I'm old, that he's good, and then he's going to try to show off in front of his friends who are playing soccer on the other field. Cool, whatever. So his 2 guys show up. We play 2-on-2, and I just tell the dude, the other guy shows up, like, hey, listen, just rebound and defend. I'm not passing the ball to the next game. He was like, what? I was like, yeah, I'm not going to pass you the ball to the next game. He laughed. He was like, okay, because he's not really a basketball player. He just likes playing basketball, so he didn't really care. So I start busting this man ass, boy, for the red, white, and blue. It was like that scene. Y'all remember Rush Hour 3 whenever that French dude started talking shit about America? And he brought up the U.S. men's basketball team. He was like, go ahead, man, talk shit about the NBA one more time. And he put the gun to his head and made him start saying, oh, say, can you see? Yeah, it was basically like that, but like with basketball. And every time I score, I'm like, "Ooh, man, I'm getting old, man. I'm getting old. It's taking a lot of work to get these buckets." And I'm busting his ass, boy. Listen, he lucky. I'm not even really in basketball shape. I ain't because when I'm in the States, I live in the States, I usually play pretty often. So out here, I don't get to play actual basketball like that. I play soccer, but I don't really play actual basketball like that. So I'm busting his ass. It's ugly. And we end up winning like 15-3 or something like that. And by the way, it's only because they don't play make it take it. If we would have played make it take it, yeah. But I wanted them to have a chance to score. Now was not having it. I'll be damned. You can criticize America, but what you're not gonna do is criticize American basketball players. Y'all already got these damn foreign people coming over playing NBA basketball and busting our ass. That was like one of the very few times that I had to defend America's dignity. It was one of the very few times that I ever would. I had to put on for my country, guys. I took that shit so personal. I ain't never talked to no Brazilian like, y'all not even really that good at soccer. Like, I've never said that. Nor would I ever. Because you get the wrong group of Brazilians that play together all the time, and you're going to feel like you was in the World Cup on the wrong side of the field. I promise you, boy. I was out there playing once. First of all, I hold my own out here. I am good at soccer. Actually, probably better than I thought I was after I got out here, because they all play so well. And they play the right way, which is not how they play in the U.S., generally speaking. So, but I got with these group of like 12, 13-year-olds. They just like wanted me to play pickup with them. I'm like, yeah, whatever, I'll play. And woo, I tell you, they wore my ass out. I was like, these are the best 12 or 13-year-olds I have ever seen in my life. And I've played with adult Brazilians. You know what I'm saying? This is not like the first time I played soccer out here. And I'm like, these 12 or 13-year-olds, they are nice. Like, bro, it was, I'm old, so I'm not trying to play defense like that. I'm trying to stick my foot out once or twice. If they get past me, shit, man, when these little kids with energy and feet can catch up to him, because I'm not doing it. But it happened so many times they got past. I'm like, nah, hell no, I got to start turning. So you go from just playing a little finesse to now I'm putting my body on them. I'm using my body to shield them off the ball. I'm bucking up to them to take the ball, because I'm like, y'all not about to embarrass me out here like this. Because they're like, they don't like 3 of them play on a team together, and then they all grew up in the same neighborhood. So like they all been playing with each other forever. So that's why they were so good, playing as a unit. But yeah, nah, I was like, oh shit. See, this is how I felt. Whenever I was a kid playing basketball, that's how it probably looked playing basketball, like the way that but yeah, nah, I wasn't gonna let that man talk about American basketball like that. Boy, lost his mind. Not while I was there. And I probably, if I was white, I ain't gonna lie to you, I probably wouldn't even care. I'm like, yeah, man, whatever. Hey, nah, bro, American basketball is great. And left it at that. But he saw I was American, and he saw I was black, and I was dribbling the basketball, and he said it in front of my son. Like, you're not gonna embarrass me in front of my kid talking about Americans actually aren't that good at basketball. That man thinks I'm a hero because he probably thinks that I played in the NBA at some point, even though I tell him I have not played in the NBA. He's sick. So he like, if you play basketball and you're really good, that must mean you were a professional at some point. Oh, man. That shit was so funny, boy. I'm like, I said, hey, you watching your daddy? I said, hey, you watching? He's like, I'm watching. I'm like, all right, make it show. That man stopped in the middle of my son stopped the game, bro. He ran in the middle of the floor. He was like, Nico. I was like, what? What's going on? You want some water? I'm like, no, why are you asking me that right now? You just look really tired. I said, I am tired of busting this man's ass, but I don't need any water right now, bro. Like, come back in a second. Because he just kept seeing me run to the basket, score, run to the basket, score, run to the basket. Like, it was funny. Nah, it was a good time though. We had a whole audience and everything. And it was a good time. U.S. women's team, probably the best in the world historically. BR men. Oh yeah, U.S. women's team is crazy. I really can't even. I know. And what's crazy, so like the girls out here, the little girls out here plays, they're nice at soccer. So and obviously like the Brazilian women's team is also as nice. But for some reason, I don't know what it is about the U.S. women's team. Maybe because it has to be a coaching thing. It has to be. It has to be like a combination of coaching and grit, because the women out here are nice, but they don't got the same edge that the U.S. women's team has historically had. It's, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a different type of. It's just different. It's like playing basketball. It's like the basketball players out here. I helped with this kid. She's like I'm gonna say he has 13 years. He's 13 years old, but I was telling him, I'm like, yo, the secret is not like what you might think it is. It's like, yeah, the weight training is a big deal because Americans actually weight train for basketball. But I was like, it's your attitude. Like you can't act like you're Brazilian. You can't. I was like, I know basketball's fun, but you got to treat it like this is how you gonna feed your family. And you got to look like that when you're playing and talk like that while you're playing. He's like, what? That's kind of silly. Like that has nothing to do with basketball. I said, I know it has zero to do with basketball, but welcome to American sports, because it's mostly the drama of the sport that attracts people to watching the sport. It's the skill, but for the people that are scouting, for the tastemakers, if you will, of whatever sport that it might be, they're looking for intangibles that draw their attention because they're looking at a bunch of good players already. Sometimes they're looking at a bunch of great players already. Sometimes they already have a list of great players. And they're looking for one thing to determine, like, why should I pick you over this guy? Why should I show the team you over this guy? Why should I pay more attention to you over this guy? And sometimes you just got to tell them, as silly as that sounds. And I'm like, that's why people have not caught on to this fact yet. Do y'all know that there basically aren't any starting point guards that are foreign born in the NBA, like at least superstars, except for one. Y'all know who it is? It's Luka Doncic. You know why? Because Luka is one of us. Luka talks shit like a black man. Luka listen to hip hop before every game. Luka speaks slang. Luka could communicate in a way that black people on his team will respect him, because that's the point guard's job, is to lead the team. That probably also isn't an accident. I remember whenever Rudy, what's that boy name? Well, Rudy Fernandez left the NBA and went back to Spain, but I'm forgetting this man's name. He was he was a highly touted prospect out of Spain. The Timberwolves drafted him extremely early. Somebody go remember in the chat, but the Timberwolves drafted him so early. He was so nice, bro, as a kid. Like he was so good. And really his talent itself never declined, but he couldn't be Ricky Rubio. There we go. That was his name, Ricky Rubio. But he could never be a point guard for like a legit contender, because there's so much of being a point guard is communicating and controlling your team. And if it's hard for you to speak the language, if you don't relate culturally, they don't respect you, then they're not going to follow you. And the coach is looking at that. So you can be the number two guy. Like the exceptions would be, for example, Tony Parker. But it wasn't Tony Parker's team. And also the team full of foreign people, basically. And also it wasn't Tony Parker's team. We all know whose team that was. That whoever was winning championships with the Spurs, they got a bunch of nice people on there that are going to go to the Hall of Fame. But that is Coach, oh my God. Coach Pop's team, Coach Popovich's team. Everybody knows that. And Tony Parker wasn't really the point guard for that team. A lot of people would probably argue that it was Manu Ginobili. And Tony Parker was a penetrator. He penetrated in dish and set up Manu and the rest of them boys. But not in the traditional way. He was probably kind of closer to Curry in that regard. But there's like this edge that you have to be an NBA player, and there's a stereotype that foreign-born players don't have this particular edge, which is not necessarily true, but there is that belief. One of the reasons that people, Nene, who he's retired now, but he used to play he was on the Denver Nuggets with Carmelo Anthony, played on those playoff teams too with Washington Wizards with John Wall. But he's Brazilian, and a lot of people had zero idea he's Brazilian because of the attitude he plays with. No, like people, and he's like black, but Brazilians are black, but people didn't know that because their only comparison at that time was Leandro Barbosa and Thiago Splitter. Thiago Splitter basically is a white boy, and Leandro Barbosa looks like what you would probably what an American would probably perceive as a Brazilian. But Nane was like, he had dreads, he was black, and he never really gave interviews. Probably now thinking back, probably because he wasn't fluent in English in his prime, but he had an edge to him as a big man, and that kept him in the league. And he played there were Brazilian big men that people. Anderson Varejão is another one. There were Brazilian big men but they weren't known for being like bruisers, like just with attitude. But Nene was, and that's probably how he stayed in the league for so long. And that you don't get the one name. So in Brazil, you don't get that one name. So for example, Ronaldinho, like y'all don't know his last name or his first name because he's Ronaldinho. That's who he is now. Pele, Nene, Neymar, even. When you hit a certain level, you get like that name. You just have one name, and that's your name because that means you've put on for Brazil. It's like a reward, if you will. So that's why Anderson Varejão is still Anderson Varejão, and Thiago Splitter is still Thiago Splitter, right? But Nene is Nene because that's like multiple playoff runs, significant impact for his team. Like he also helped Brazil get really deep in the Olympics one time, or FIBA, I can't remember which one. So, Laura, hello from Vancouver, Washington. Oh man, y'all look at them. You was up there looking at them fake Aurora Borealis lights. Did y'all see that? I gotta show you. Let me see if I can show you this video real quick. Cause that, damn, I knew it. I just knew. I'm like, bro, I'm seeing all these people taking these pictures of those lights, and it just felt kind of weird that they were appearing from so many different states and countries. I'm like, I don't think that's how that's supposed to work. I'm not an expert, but then you saw like ESPN brought on Bill Nye to talk about it because so many people, probably because so many people were curious, and they were saying that the solar flare is what caused this, right? So this girl did a TikTok video, and I'm gonna show y'all because it is extremely interesting. And it's this type of stuff I'll actually like to look into whenever I'm not doing politics. So let me, oh, there we go. Pull up the screen. What time is it? Oh, I got a little bit more time.
Can we talk about the Northern Lights? This was my house last night. I live in North Little Rock, Arkansas, way too far south to ever see anything like this. Was I amazed and excited? Yeah. I immediately said, well, seeing the Northern Lights was on my bucket list. I guess I could cross it out, even though it didn't happen quite the way I wanted. But now I don't know if it counts. Stay with me here. It's about to get weird. The lights are visible so far south because of the extreme G5 geomagnetic storm, right? We all know. But then I accidentally stumbled on something else, and now I'm confused and alarmed. Because what is that? ARP testing? May 8th through 10th, 2024. And then I'm like, okay, maybe that's not real. But the notice they sent out to the amateur radio communities looks pretty real. Then I'm like, hold up. I know it's the Auroral Research Program, but can they really make fake Northern Lights? And the answer to that is yes. Not only yes, but they've already done it a couple of times. Like the last time they did one of these research campaigns in November 2023. Are these fake Northern Lights? Is the government playing on my feelings right now? It's really weird to me too that this started May 8th. And then on May 10th, they're like, oh, wow, look at this giant, extreme, really strange solar flare that's going to show the Northern Lights all over the place in places they're not supposed to be seen. Did they do something they weren't supposed to do? Or am I just tripping? Please tell me. Please tell me what y'all think. If all this is fake Northern Lights, and I have to mark it back onto my bucket list, I'm going to be very sad and mad and feel very betrayed. You'd think the government could not surprise me anymore, but color me surprised, okay? Let me know what y'all think about that.
Look. People don't figure it out. Nobody accepts anything anymore. Like, and so we get great content like this because she's spot on. She's spot on. Heart is a device that is used for multiple purposes, actually. My friend has a theory that it was used during Standing Rock to cause. I was actually at Standing Rock at the climax of it all, and there was no predicted. I won't say bad weather. There was no predicted storm. Snow, yeah, but it was North Dakota. There was no storm, and then the storm came out of nowhere. There was a snowstorm that came out of nowhere as more people were showing up to bring food and supplies. And the snowstorm didn't have the traditional properties of a snowstorm. And my friend, who was an atmospheric scientist, was tracking it because I was there, and so he was like just curious about it. And it did something that snowstorms don't do. It just hovered around Bismarck, North Dakota, where Standing Rock is basically fixated. Just hovered like this, y'all. Didn't move. And he was like, the fuck? And so then the governor of North Dakota declared a state of emergency only for Standing Rock. Only for Standing Rock. This is a true story, by the way. Some of you who are paying attention to that Standing Rock situation probably remember this. We actually got stuck, I think, 2 extra days because of the snowstorm. But the state of emergency was declared, basically saying that they had to leave the reservation, and they would be breaking the law if they stayed. So my friend, because of that, who was getting his PhD in atmospheric science, and he asked to do his dissertation on heart, because he's like, man, I think heart probably has something to do with this. He said, well, it makes sense. I'm like researching it, and he's, because HAARP was made in Alaska, it's like not hidden very well if they are trying to hide it. And he tells his professor that he wants to do it, not because he's not thinking that it's something nefarious. He's like, it's probably something that's probably has military applications, or something that's probably used to stop natural disasters, or at least mitigate them. That's what he's thinking. He's not assuming nefarious intent. He's like, I want to do some research on heart. I think that's a great topic. They told him, no, he can't do it. Well, no, he could do it. They said he could do it, but then, like, if you did do it, you would not get a job afterwards because of what you would discover. That's what they told. Which, in hindsight, that probably adversely affected his desire to pursue that career. He's not doing it anymore. He still is very interested in it. He's the one who sent me this, actually. And so he still pays attention to all this stuff. But jaded him because he realized, like, oh, shit, this is even the conversation of atmospheric science isn't sacred. Like, everything is manipulated. And it's like, in this particular situation, it makes perfect sense to use the solar flare. Like, they're acting like solar flares never happened. Y'all do know, like, we experienced a solar flare. Hell, I was in Miami at the time. What is it, December? I want to say it was the beginning of December and the end of November. Y'all remember the solar flare we had out back then, 2023, towards the end of the year. Let me tell you how I remember. Because my car battery died. It was a brand new damn battery, right? And I was at the mall when it happened, and the car next to me, their car battery died. And then another car on the other side of a parking lot, their car battery. I was like, what the fuck? That's super weird. Then my cell phone wasn't working, so I couldn't actually call anybody to come and help me. And then I get to the barbershop. I get to the barbershop because I was going to get my hair cut. And my homeboy outside helping my other homeboy who was getting his haircut too. He was like, hey, man, like, what's going on? He's like, my car battery died. I'm like, what? When the last time you changed it? He's like, bro, I just bought this car yesterday. So I remember that solar flare. So it's not like they don't happen. That's true. But it is very convenient for them to, but they also didn't talk about the solar flare that much back then, like when it was happening. Like people on Twitter were talking about it, but like it wasn't like wall-to-wall news coverage. But I like went to YouTube to see like and they were reporting all over. Bro, they brought on Bill Nye to talk about this solar flare and saying that that is what's causing this aurora. These like northern, which you can't even call them northern lights because the damn show ain't north. Rural Arkansas is not north. Okay. So like, yes, solar flares are real. Yeah, they can have an impact on the environment and electronics, but that, whatever that was, those lights weren't natural. And it does suit a narrative to use the solar flare, say, oh yeah, it's because of the solar flare happening at the same time. And it's making the lights visible in all locations and like in all these locations. What? That doesn't make any sense. That's dumb. It's a dumb explanation. Hell, I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I like Bill Nye, but even Bill Nye's explanation didn't make sense to me, which is why I was like, I sent a message to my friend and he sent me back this. And he was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, damn it. I knew it wasn't a coincidence. Like, I knew something had to be up. It just couldn't be, oh man, look at how naturally beautiful the world and the universe is. Right. I'm gonna play that again for those of you who didn't get a chance to see it or if you just got here.
Do we talk about the Northern Lights? This was my house last night. I live in North Little Rock, Arkansas, way too far south to ever see anything like this. Was I amazed and excited? Yeah. I immediately said, well, seeing the Northern Lights was on my bucket list. I guess I could cross it out, even though it didn't happen quite the way I wanted. But now I don't know if it counts. Stay with me here. It's about to get weird. The lights are visible so far south because of the extreme G5 geomagnetic storm, right? We all know. But then I accidentally stumbled on something else, and now I'm confused and alarmed. Because what is that? HARP testing? May 8th through 10th, 2024. And then I'm like, okay, maybe that's not real. But the notice they sent out to the amateur radio communities looks pretty real. Then I'm like, hold up. I know it's the Auroral Research Program, but can they really make fake Northern Lights? And the answer to that is yes. Not only yes, but they've already done it a couple of times. Like the last time they did one of these research campaigns in November 2023. Are these fake Northern Lights? Is the government playing on my feelings right now? It's really weird to me too that this started May 8th. And then on May 10th, they're like, oh, wow, look at this giant, extreme, really strange solar flare that's going to show the Northern Lights all over the place in places they're not supposed to be seen. Did they do something they weren't supposed to do? Or am I just tripping? Please tell me. Please tell me what y'all think.
My thing is, too, if this whole thing was harmless, right? Why wouldn't you just say, like, oh, yeah, we're using HARP to test these fake? Like, why wouldn't that be it? Like, why go out of the way to create a whole other narrative about a solar flare? And that's why all these lights are going to be seen everywhere, et cetera, et cetera. Why not just say, oh, yeah, we're going to use this machine during this conference to see if we can create artificial Northern Lights? It'll be cool, whatever. Why not? Maybe because you have no plans on using that particular machine for altruistic purposes, right? And you also don't want people to research other capabilities that the machine has. Maybe that's why you don't want people looking in the heart. So you have to create this whole narrative about solar flare and magnetic storm and blah, 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 like just so that people are looking and blaming all this extra stuff when the answer is like right in front of you and super simple. And even once again, it's like, oh, well, it's HARP and like leave it there. And like the big story is that it's HARP and that they're lying about it. It's like, no, the bigger story is why did they choose to lie about it? Why are they choosing to lie about HARP's specific involvement in creating these fake lights? Unless you're actually trying to hide something else and you're worried that if you know HARP has this capability, then you may be curious about the other capabilities that HARP has. And also, probably more importantly, have they used these capabilities in the past and are they planning on using them in the future? The answer is yes, of course they are. Of course they are. Titus said, dang, Nico, I have enough conspiracy theories on my plate as it is. You and me both, my brother. You and me both. What other questions we got today? How many likes we got? We got 369 people watching. I don't know how many people we have watching on YouTube, but we need to have some likes. I know that. Like it. Share. Let me see what questions we got. I don't think all that artificial electricity and radiation is good for our body. No, actually, it depends. Our bodies absorb gamma radiation, and we actually are like little light bulbs, really. So like in waves is not. I don't think it's. I think our body can actually process it. I think that it's probably because of the application to create a false sense of urgency for natural disasters. I feel like they're like you can control that. I mean, HARP can literally make a natural disaster happen. And then if in a country, so say if you are trying to overthrow a government, for example, or a country has resources that you want, now in the middle of an election year, right before an election year, et cetera, in the middle of an economic transitional period, they get hit with a thunderstorm or a hurricane or a tornado or earthquake usually. And now you can send your Clinton Global Initiative there to seize control of resources, businesses, to network, to broker deals, to make sure that you have control over that country going forward. Like that's a very realistic application of HARP. And it's not, and some people might even argue that it's already happened. Some people feel like that's partly what happened in Haiti and Puerto Rico. Are power lines near our neighborhood homes bad for us, like cancer? I mean, I don't know. I guess it would depend on the type of. It would depend on how the electricity is managed, right? The type of material they use to. But I don't know if it's inherently like. So I believe that our bodies, in order for us to be exposed to a degree that's like exposed to anything really, to the degree that it causes cancer, it has to be over an extended period of time because we don't give our bodies enough credit and our abilities to heal after we've been removed from the exposure, right? So if it's like the microwave thing, like they always show, like this is what it looks like if you use a microwave for two. Like yeah, but you have to do a lot to get to that point. And if you keep opening the microwave early, it's like you could get cancer. But it's like, well, no, it's if you're doing this over and 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 like nonstop, and you're never away from the microwave radiation, right? It's like that with most things. I do believe that 5G is a problem. I remember a 5G tower being put by my apartment in Miami for the first time, and my animals started getting sick. They started getting ear mites for the first time, which was super weird, actually. They got ear mites for the first time. I started getting like all of a sudden my asthma would flare up in ways that didn't happen unless I was working out, right? I felt like there was a constant like I don't know how to explain it. Like my head was always heavy. Like there was a cloud, like a shroud of fog over my brain all the time. And it just stood there. It was just there when I was in my apartment. And when I left, it felt like I could breathe. Like, and it was very, and I know like I'm very aware of like my mindset all the time because like of the ADHD. So I'm constantly having to manage my mental energy. So like whenever something is happening too many times in a row, too many days in a row, and it's uncharacteristic for me, I'm aware of it and I'm like, okay, what changed? And I remember Verizon knocking on my damn door talking about we put up a 5G tower. Do you wanna, switch to Verizon, et cetera, et cetera. It was that 5G tower that was right in front of my house. And when I tell you, it wasn't just like that. That was like probably the least weird thing that happened. My neighborhood started being crazy after that. Crime went up in my neighborhood. Like domestic violence went up in my neighborhood. The animals started acting weird and attacking each other. Like you could hear the cats fighting outside when they never used to fight. Like in my neighborhood, everybody fed the cats and all that good stuff. So like you could hear them all of a sudden fighting when they never did that before. It was super weird. I just read an article that said that the sun predicts skin cancer, prevents skin cancer. Yeah. So one of the reasons they say you actually shouldn't wear sunglasses all the time is because your eyes, you have to take the sun through your eyes in order to process the vitamins properly to help prevent skin cancer. And the more you wear sunglasses, the higher likelihood you have of getting skin cancer. So yes, sun does help prevent skin cancer. It also, I don't know about obviously if you are in the sun too long, I guess you could probably get skin cancer, but I'm black, so I don't really, I'm not really sure how that works for y'all. I've only been sunburned one time in my life, and that was the first time I was out on the beach during spring break in Fort Lauderdale, like a 95-degree day. And I was outside the whole day, and it was only like a little sunburn, but I remember being so scared. I thought I had cancer, y'all, because I had never been sunburned before. Never been sunburned again, but it was like, what if I can get sunburned? This is crazy. It was an experience. I was in pain. Couldn't believe it. Jose, in Bolivia, there's a city called Satellite City. They have multiple satellites for radio and TV. There's numerous reports of cases of babies having birth defects. Oh, I believe that. Yeah, like that's constant and regular exposure to radio waves. Yeah, that's not. We can't be constantly exposed really to anything. There's nothing positive about being constantly exposed to anything all the time. That is a general rule of life. There is no matter what it is, there's always too much. You can always have too much of a good thing, no matter what it is. No matter what it is. That's like your body needs time to process what you're experiencing. It's just the reality of it. John Kemper, said they were predicting this solar flare a year ago. I didn't believe that they could predict what the sun would do. Oh yeah, they're able to predict solar flares. Astrology, they've been predicting solar flares for as long as I've been interested in astrology. I'm not surprised that scientists can predict solar flares. Bro, astrology's been able to predict like gamma radiation events. And like science, quote unquote, Western science rather, will be behind the bar because astrology is actually using mathematical. They're using mathematics and historical references to predict like when a gamma flare will happen years in advance before Western science catches up. So yeah, they should be able to predict solar events based off of temperature, like surface temperature, et cetera, surface temperature, positioning, heat cycles, all that stuff. They should be able to predict that type of stuff. What's weird to me is that like this isn't like solar flares are not rare. That's why, and the focus of the solar flare in this particular case, or the focus on the solar flare in this particular case, is what's bizarre to me. Let's see if I'm missing any questions. Cobra Commander said the burning of oil has increased the planet's temperature at the point of no return. The Earth will never cool down again. It will only get hotter each year until all water evaporates. You know what? I don't know if I agree with that. I know that people say that we're at like a point of no return with the Earth, but I always feel like we're met. So by the time we could measure the Earth's temperature, basically, it's like in the context of the greater age of the earth, like it's like the infancy of the infancy of the infancy of earth. We have zero, basically what I'm saying is we have zero idea of the temperature cycles of the earth. I know we're burning oil. And I don't know if I already told y'all, like I've never believed that quote unquote fossil fuels came from dinosaur fucking bones. Like that's a dumbass. I just feel like this is just dumb as fuck. I didn't believe when I was a kid when they told me that. I don't believe it now. I believe that oils actually, the oils that we find in the ground are actually natural oils, that crude oils, like natural oils that are like built up the same way like your tea tree, same type of natural oil that your tea tree oil is, olive oil, all that stuff. You got oil on your skin, for Christ's sakes. Oil is a part of living beings. And so the idea that they came from fossils, in my opinion, has always been a ruse to fabricate scarcity. Okay. So when you are, so my point is that so now that would mean that anytime we are using any type of oil that some of us would consider natural, healthy oil, it would be bad for the planet, which I don't believe is inherently true. I feel like if the planet produces it, the only thing that can happen is if you use too much of it in one area and then you don't dispose of it correctly. That's like the worst. But that will only destroy the environment temporarily. But the environment itself will always recover. The people living there, probably not. The environment will recover by purging you and then returning back to normal. That's what I believe would probably happen. But I believe that if the earth created, that means the earth can process it. So if the earth created oil, for example, which it did, it can process it. You can, burning oil doesn't necessarily mean that it would cause the planet to heat to a point that it couldn't cool down, cyclically speaking. Because we don't know, because we actually don't really know, truthfully, the cycles, the temperature cycles of the planet, not in the grand scheme. We know like a couple hundred years. If even now, I don't think we have a couple hundred years of evidence. We just don't know, truthfully, the cycles of the planet. So for example, there was a year, I can't remember, but I remember the year I was living in Miami, and we actually had record low temperatures during the winter time. And I remember because my friend, like I told you, he was an atmospheric scientist, and he was talking to me about it because that was actually, I think, the year he moved there. And he was like, bro, yeah, it's weird as hell. But no one was talking about it. And this is Miami, y'all. We had multiple days where we out there trying to get ice. We turn on the windshield early in the morning to warm up the car and get ice off the car. That don't happen. But one time, maybe in late December, early January, maybe one night you get that. I'm not even exaggerating. And it happened like for 3-4 weeks straight. But what was peculiar to both of us was that nobody was reporting on the record lows that Miami was experiencing and like a lot of the country were actually experiencing. So my point is that when it comes to climate conversations, there always has to be an awareness that there is an attempt to manipulate information to create a sense of urgency that may or may not be justified because stuff like, burning oil might get discussed a lot, but even by liberals, for example. But it's like kind of like how the abortion conversation. Some liberals think that they act like some laws are like, oh man, like they're gonna make you have your kid even if you're raped, and that's like not the case. And then you have like the other side of the abortion conversation where conservatives are like, they're gonna try to abort their baby the day before it's born, like kind of like that, to create a false sense of urgency. Like when most 90% of the people getting or that are involved in, or that would be affected by this conversation do not fall in any of those categories. You get what I'm saying? So it's like that with climate change or climate science or environmental science to some degree. But environmental science is usually the most sound, which is why environmental science is usually the least discussed. There's not really a lot of debate on environmental science. It's like, it is what it is. Climate science, on the other hand, is different. Environmental science is usually ignored because in order to profit off of the sensationalization of climate science, you have to ignore the environmental science and how it actually contradicts a lot of the arguments being made to justify some of the industrialization that we're seeing in the name of climate science and the quote unquote fourth industrial revolution. So it's a very complex thing, like this climate science in general. And climate change is real, but it is also definitely cyclical. And we would need a lot of help and also time. We would need help, objective help, to determine how much climate change is affected by things like burning. Because we don't need, like, the idea of fossil fuels is already a lie. So we can't start off our scientific process, if you will, with a lie about the very product that we're trying to analyze. Like, it doesn't make any sense on its face. So we have to first figure out, well, is there an oil scarcity issue? Because if there's not even an oil scarcity issue, now you have to ask yourself, if there's not an oil scarcity issue, then why? And how much is it? And can it really be that big of a problem? It could be that big of a problem in spurts in certain situations if it's not well managed, like the disposal of it. But that's usually, once again, an environmental and in a usage issue. But the way that lithium batteries are filled for these cars right now is more damaging to the environment than oil is. And people don't even know that. Hell, the way that they're getting the materials to make these batteries is more damaging to the environment itself, except like we're outside of climate change now, just the environment. The way they get these batteries is more damaging to the environment itself than oil is. And no one even talks about it because it's inconvenient to talk about. So, but it needs to be discussed because, if you care about the environment, you should always care about the environment. But there are a lot of people who ignore that part of the conversation because a big part of their logic for climate change and their solutions for climate change involve switching to these type of cars like Tesla, not realizing how they've already begun to manipulate the narrative so that you would push people in their direction. And they know that you won't bring up what they're doing with the mining the cobalt out of Africa and lithium and all that good stuff. They know that you don't want to bring that up because that would kind of compromise your position on climate change, or at least your solution on climate change. And nobody wants to deal with their ego. Nobody wants to deal with their own ego, basically. Like, damn, I might take a step back. But you can still be passionate about something, but sometimes you got to be passionate in silence while you're studying and trying to understand what you're talking about. That's what people don't understand. It's okay to be passionate in silence, bro. I'm passionate in silence about a lot of stuff. The truth is they haven't done anything to slow it down. These silly carbon taxes, for example. Oh, God, yeah. Bro, I cannot stand a carbon tax. I can't stand that. I've never liked the carbon tax. Well, I don't like taxes in general, but carbon tax that don't make no damn sense. The carbon tax don't make no. It's like what they're really trying to do is basically charge you for driving. That's basically what they want to, because like, at least in the Western world, they try to come up with inventive ways to tax you for everything. They wanted to tax you to go to college. That's all that increase in tuition that everyone experienced out of nowhere. Like, it's because it was a tax. They wanted you paying a certain amount back to the federal government for the rest of your life to get a degree. And then they made it so that everybody basically needed a degree to get a certain job. Hell, and they were like, when people were like, I'm not going to get a degree then. I'm going to go get a trade. Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to require certificates for all these trades that otherwise didn't require a certificate. Before, all you had to do was register. Now it requires a class. Now it requires a certificate. And now they're giving out federal loans, not grants, to these trade schools and forcing you to stay in for a certain amount of time in order to qualify for a certificate. So like they're getting their money is basically what they decided. It's just another way to tax people. Like, I know on the East Coast, I'm sure on parts of the West Coast too, but I know on the East Coast, one of the things that always irks my damn nerves, like when I lived in North Carolina, when you register your car every year First of all, you got to get an inspection every year in North Carolina, which is insane. Second of all, you have to pay your taxes on your car every year, which is not that big of a deal, but it's the other tax you have to pay too, which include a road tax. You pay a road tax. Okay. So then I'm confused because when I'm driving down the highway, trying to ride it all night long, I hit a toll booth. And I'm like, hey man, somebody, you got to call call the DMV, man. I'm good already. I paid my road tax because these tolls pay for these roads, right? And I already paid my road tax. So I know that you're not about to tax me again at this toll. But that's exactly what they're doing. That's actually why a lot of the time, if you they don't take you to court over unpaid tolls, right? They send it to your credit instead. Because if you actually argue it in court, a lot of the tolls are not technically lawful for them for you to charge. It's like they would have to argue the legality of them charging you for something that's a public highway that you effectively have already paid for. If you take interstate, especially, you have already paid for that because it's a federal thing. At the bare minimum, you've likely paid for it if you lived in that state. You get what I'm saying? So like, it's one of those situations where if you get caught driving, if you get caught driving your vehicle without your license, they'll give you a ticket for it, but they'll just be like, hey, don't do that again. If you get caught driving and your license is legit, but your insurance is suspended, they will tow your car in most states. Because now that affects your ability to pay for other people's property that you may or may not damage with your vehicle. You get what I'm saying? So it's kind of like one of those situations. Some things they know they act like, because the license is actually technically speaking legal to drive without a license. It's not unlawful. It's a whole thing. But like there's precedence on it already. I want to say it was in Michigan. There's precedence on it already. Now don't do it because it will get you in trouble. But that's why the process of what happens if you don't have insurance is vastly different if you get caught driving without your license. It's a whole different way to handle the situation. And it's because of precedence that's already been set and the property damage that would be involved. RBN didn't kick out CJ. So I go ahead and clear that up. They didn't kick out CJ. CJ he was removed, but I don't know if I can't really say it was kick it out. It was he decided to keep doing what he was doing, and he decided to leave, and they weren't putting up with it, and it is what it is, man. I wish him luck though. But like I said, y'all gotta remember that type of stuff isn't really political. Like it's not about political opinion mostly. It's not about where they like ideological differences. It's usually administrative behind the scenes stuff with the actual business side. Because that's what when you are working with multiple individuals, that's what you have to do when it's on, especially if it's on paper, which they have. If I'm not mistaken, they're a co-op. It's just how it is, y'all. You got to communicate. Y'all can disagree on something and still but there's still rules of engagement that have to be followed that normally everyone has agreed on. And if somebody just decides, I don't agree no more, and just does what they want, you're free to do that, but then there are also consequences that come with it. And that's just the reality of it. And I have a lot of respect for CJ. Politically, he's really good. You know what I'm saying? And he works very, very hard. But that's separate from the whatever drama they got going behind the scenes that none of us know about. But I wish RBN luck. You know what I'm saying? I wish CJ luck. I hope that he continues to thrive. I know he has his own channel now. You know, it's if CJ ever invited me on, I would go on his show. Like, I don't have any personal problem with CJ. I actually have a lot of respect for CJ. But their personal stuff with personal issues behind the scenes, not when I say personal, I really mean business, but personal business stuff behind the scenes, I feel like it should be made clear that shouldn't be like it shouldn't, because I've seen like drama kind of suggesting that the beef is like a political thing, and it's not really a political thing. Like, it's the way that political disagreements have been handled by either party. And I kind of hope they make up, yo, to be honest. Like, they're dope. As a group, they're a dope group. They do a lot. They all have their roles to play. And it's really hard to do what they do. It's stressful because it's not just like I said, it's not just the YouTube and making shows, bro. They're out there doing real mutual aid, real organizing. You know what I'm saying? We may have been used to undermine RBN for the last 6 months. Huh? What you mean? Maybe I need to go up. Let me reread the rest of it. Mikael Johnson said CJ misled us new podcast on RBN LBIE into thinking we were part of RBN. When the rest of the group found out they didn't approve of it, it was dishonest. LBIE Long Beach? Is that what that is? Long Beach? Oh, I get what you're saying. Okay. You're saying that he made a decision to bring on podcasters that are part of RBN Long Beach, but he made it seem like that y'all are part of RBN's main thing. When that was not the case, because I do know that they have a process. You can't just be a part of it, and it definitely isn't a unilateral decision. I get what you're saying. I understand. Well, you know, and if that is what happened, and that violates the rules, then you know, that's consequences, man. One of my favorite Instagram comedians, he always like does like jokes about how dads interact with their sons. He's always like, consequences. You know, people got consequences, bro. That's what happens, man. So there is a business aspect to it, and there's just a way you got to go about your business, man. RBN, I must say, Grape and team. So RBN, I must say, has appropriate drama for the genocide that is happening. People need to be very upset. You damn right about that. You are damn right about that. If that's hell, we can argue about how mad we should be about genocide all day, every day. That's some drama I'm willing to engage in. And I'm all about protecting my peace and protecting my energy. I'm in my what do they call it? Drizzle soft guy era. Nah, but on seriousness, I'm like, I really don't be trying to get involved in any of that type of stuff anymore for various reasons, because it's like, whatever. But I'll get into some drama over Palestine and quick, fast, in a hurry. But it's just one of those issues you can't really, it's like, I don't want to say it's a non-compromise. Like, I can't compromise on it, but I'm not about to compromise politically on it. Like, I ain't about to let shit slide. I'll tell you that. Yin Yang Eclipse. Nico, you have a moral obligation to treat situations where women or where someone has made serious offensive remarks to all the women on RBN with the moral responsibility. I don't know what that means personally, so I can't really. I can't treat the situation. I don't know how to treat it because I don't know what you're referring to. I'm not gonna lie to you. Someone who routinely outright disrespects women and tries to demean their merits as women does not deserve respect on love. I don't. You gotta be specific. Gotta be specific, because I do not know what you're referring to. I'm not trying to dismiss you. I'm just saying I don't know what you're referring to. And we're not TYT. I don't comment on things if I don't know what I'm commenting on. But I could just say, from my experience with MCSC, I have a I'm very much so in the camp of, like, you leave family business. You don't put your family business out in the street. It's just how it is. No one should be attacking anyone public, like attacking. It's one thing, like, I don't agree with me and so like, for example, Fee and Pasta with Combo Couch, they will disagree to each other in front of each other if it's about a political disagreement, because it's like that doesn't define who they are as people or whatever. And that's like a pre-approved rule of engagement that they've already established with each other. So like they can disagree and it's fine. And they also know each other, so it's cool. But like, and I don't know to the degree that it happened, but attacking someone from like Twitter out of nowhere, for example, or attacking and using a public, like the group account to do it, can't do that. Can't do that. That's not, especially if the group don't know about it, everybody has access to it, and you're entrusted with that account to simply promote the shows and the programs and the mutual aid organizing and things like that. You can't do that, bro. You gotta keep it in the family. Whatever disagreement y'all can have it, but handle it behind closed doors. Like, there's a way to go about business, yo. And everybody's not always going to be on the same page. Co-op or not, political alignment or not, there's always going to be differences on how things are being done. And that's why you have a co-op, so people can agree on the best way to go about because if everybody's not going to be happy. If everybody's happy, that doesn't exist, first of all. That just doesn't exist in business, co-op, groups, nothing like that. If everybody's happy with every decision, it's not going to last very long. If a couple people are like, I'll deal with it. Other people are happy and other people are like, that usually means it's probably the best decision for the group. That's generally what that means. So if there's a disagreement with whatever decision is being made, that is something you have to take up with the group, not the whole damn world. Yin Yang Clip said, sounds like CJ tried to hold Nick of People's Party to a different standard he's holding himself to under the same type of accusation and circumstances. I'm not tolerating CJ. Concept. I did not hear about that. I didn't know that Nick CJ called Sabby that. That is a different conversation entirely. I really hope that he didn't. Unless that's something that happened behind closed doors. That wasn't on camera, was it? He went in a jealous rage and told Sabby her intelligence does not measure up to his. I can't get down with CJ after those type of accusations unless evidence the contrary comes through. Well, no, there's no really justification for that. Like, evidence don't measure up to, like, intelligence don't measure up to somebody else's intelligence is like a weird thing to say. Because Sabby's extremely intelligent. So there's that. That's weird. That's crazy. Sabby's cozy with the PM. I'm assuming that's professional managerial class. Now, what is he? I saw that accusation, but what is he referring to? Is it because she gets invited on by the Hill Rising? I mean, because Nick has been on the Hill Rising too. I mean, he got invited back on, but from my perspective, it looked like Bree probably has a special relationship with Sabby as a black woman, as a leftist black woman with a platform, and probably has thrown her an extra bone because it's lonely out there on the left for Black women. And so she was actively involved in helping to get Sabby the attention that she deserves. Like, that's what I would perceive that as. I don't think that that's, and I don't really think that that's necessarily a bad thing. I think I've always said that Black women deserve much more attention and more of a platform than they have, and that it shouldn't be just limited to Britt. I've always said that. So I don't know. And y'all can educate me. I don't see everything all the time. So y'all can educate me. I don't understand what the accusation of she's too cozy with the professional managerial class comes from. So I guess somebody can educate me or enlighten me on that before, by the way, we got like 15 more minutes before I got to get up out of here. Sabby is married to a white liberal for a defense contractor. I don't think that matters, but they attack everyone else for it. Well, Sabby, first of all, Sabby was married. So Sabby's married to a white liberal. I'm pretty sure she was engaged before that. But if that's been her man forever, she's supposed to break up with him because he's a liberal? I'm confused. And attacking, quote unquote, she doesn't attack everyone else for it. I've seen whenever Sabby has these kind of conversations, and what she does is, if it seems as if someone's position is in conflict with their personal relationship or business relationship, and it's evident, then she will call that out. I don't think that it's fair to be like, oh man, she has her husband is works for a defense, because there's also, that could be any job. So there's that. Like, just because he's a liberal who works for a defense contractor doesn't mean, I just don't feel like that's a fair criticism to attack somebody. And just like, personally, I know people who I know leftists who married to conservatives, and like, it is what it is. I'm not going to judge somebody's interpersonal relationship. Like, because it doesn't seem to have any impact personally. Like, from my perspective, it doesn't seem to have any impact on Sabby's political opinions. I'm still kind of looking for if anybody can educate me, I'm being dead serious. What do they mean by she's cozy with the PMC class? Because the only thing I could think of is interviews. But my thing is, Sabby's style, her presentation style is interview. Like Pasta, for example, Pasta Jardula from the Combo Couch. He interviews any and everybody. He's also very, very judicious. He's not going on, like, just trying to go on the attack all the time. He has very open-ended questions. And if you say something stupid, he'll challenge you. But he lets you finish your thoughts because he knows that the audience is there for you to hear what you have to say, not necessarily, and yeah, for the challenges, but not necessarily to hear me interrupt you every 5 minutes just so I can get cool points for looking like, I'm a radical. So and also, Sabby's a Black woman, so she can't really do that because then she would be perceived differently. That's just kind of the rules of the game, unfortunately. Hell, I can't even talk during my own interviews without somebody getting upset. Like, I can't ask a question. They're like, "Oh man, he interrupted you." Like, to ask a question, yeah, the interview gotta get to the location that we're going to, But yeah, it's different rules. So I am genuinely curious as to what people like. Is it because she can get big interviews? Or anybody consider it's because her page is grown now that she can get the big interviews? Because it could be something that I don't know, because it's something like a relationship she has behind the scenes with like somebody from the PMC class. Like, I just feel like she's just, to be honest, the hate for Sabby, because like, so for example, I could disagree with a take of Sabby, which I've disagreed with a take from basically everybody at some point. And I'm not like, oh man, that's because she's just way too cozy with the professional managerial class. Because the very next 50 tweets is all shit I agree with. right? Even somebody that she's liked, I've seen Sabby critique. So I don't understand where this idea that I don't understand this idea that she's cozy with the professional managerial class outside. I don't understand where somebody would get that idea from unless you know something that somebody else doesn't know, which is a possibility, right? Or you're just assuming that because of her channel growth, that it's because of the professional managerial class. But like, it's not why. It's because she goes on the Hill and she does extremely well advocating for leftist policies from a leftist perspective, really from a leftist independent perspective. Specifically, she takes that and she then leverages that with these interviews that she does, and they're very well done. She's extremely well prepared, and she works her ass off on top of that. So the presentation is amazing. And shout out to her team too, because her team is part of that too, the presentation aspect of it. And she's growing because like and because of that when you get bigger, you get more interviews. That's kind of how it works. It's not like you know what I'm saying? It's not like I'm confused because everybody acts like we didn't see Sabby with like have 5,000 followers for like 3 or 4 years, and then like now she's where she's at. And it's like her work ethic didn't change. Her approach didn't change. Her opinions only got better, actually. Her analysis improved. The only difference is she got more exposure and people saw her for how good she is and are thankfully staying there. Like that's a great thing. You get what I'm saying? Like if you're going to make an accusation like somebody's friendly with the PMC class, you gotta give some examples. You really do. Like, because otherwise it just comes off as jealousy because she has more access. And what's crazy about Sabby specifically is if you needed access to somebody, which I'm sure she's done. I don't even have to ask. I know already. If you needed access to somebody and she could make it happen, I 100% guarantee Sabby would do everything in her power to get you an interview or get you. I'm sure she's done it already. I'm already positive she's done it. Positive she's done it. Like, so if you needed that, then like just ask. But at the end of the day, Sabby has she has a quality about her beyond the analysis that people love. And that's why people stick around. And that's why her channel is growing. And I feel like that's something that should be respected. Once again, as somebody who has just been an outspoken advocate for Black women in this particular space, y'all, like, people don't understand how fucking hard it is. Like, that's the other thing. Like, Bree had to be a lawyer, be the press secretary for Bernie Sanders' campaign, write for the what was it, the Independent or something like that. Can't remember which one she was writing for before that. But she had to go through all of this for her to get the clout that she got. And I mean, like, bro, that's crazy to have to do all that. Because these white boys be out here getting 200,000 followers and they got no qualifications. And people still give a damn about what they got to say. And so, like, literally, it's Bree, and then y'all don't quote me because I'm like, I can't remember exactly. And that's probably a problem. But it's like Bree and Sabby. So if Sabby is finding this level of success as well, and by the way, being on the right side of history while doing so, I feel like that's something that should be celebrated, especially by her colleagues. Like, that is dope. That is amazing, actually, because it's Bree, Sabby, and who? It's Bree, Sabby, and who else with that level of success and influence and access. I'm talking about for Black women. That's what I'm specifically referring to Black women. There's not really. But we all. I mean, before RBN, it was me, and I guess that other guy that some of y'all liked. We don't get into that. And then who? There was nobody with the level of influence that we had, which was a problem, actually. And now we have RBN, so that's dope. That's a great thing. So I don't think that if that's true and he called her B word, that's not cool. If it was attacking her because her growth, because of her success, that comes off as jealousy, that's definitely not cool. I don't know if that's what actually happened. I'm just saying, like, that's just, if that is what happened, that's a bad look, bro. It's just a bad look. Because it seemed to be a lot of it was revolved around Sabby. And I'm so confused because, like, this is like the most non-controversial person ever. Like, Sabby is so non-controversial. She's so sweet. She's just like always trying to help people, always looking out for people. You know what I'm saying? Like, always improving, always leveling up her game. And then she finally is rewarded for it. And the way that we always said we wish that people like Sabby would be rewarded for it, your people's supposed to be there with you. And unfortunately, the reality is, as a person who's personally experienced it, like, some people just be cheering on your downfall, man. They act like they it's cute whenever, like, you're on the way. It's cute when you're on the way, right? But then when you're there, they don't treat you the same. They're like, that should be me. That's basically how a lot of people think about it. I don't know if that's EJ, but I do know that there are people who could feel like that, have that should be me attitude. I've had that happen with people that that literally met my family. We knew each other outside of all this stuff. And because they didn't like my trajectory at the time as compared to theirs, and they felt like they deserved more, they flipped on me, and I was confused as hell. And it was probably in a worse way too, because they flipped on me and started lying to other people about stuff that I said. I'm like, well, I don't even talk about you. The people, if y'all know one thing about me, or if y'all want to know one thing about me, when I am not doing YouTube and not talking about politics, I don't give a shit about the majority of people unless they're my actual friends, which back then I didn't have many of them. So in other words, if I didn't know you on a personal level where I'm texting you and talking to you, I had nothing to say about you, or like, I don't care about your career. I don't care about what you got going on. I don't care, bro. I got my own shit to worry about. So when I found out that somebody had been, my friend at the time had been going around saying that I was lying about these people and telling some lies, and I'm like, I don't even talk about them. And my friend told me, she told me that he was lying. I was like, I don't talk about these people. I don't care. She's like, I know, but that's what he's going around saying, because he tried to tell her the same thing. And so she kind of came to me to let me know what he had been saying. Yeah. So, and it'd be the people that pretend that they're on your team more than anybody. And sometimes, they'll stab you in the back. Jealousy and envy is definitely a sign they're definitely signs of a weak person, Joseph. That is so true. It's also a sign of a person who has no faith in themselves, generally speaking. Right? They don't believe that they have what it takes to be successful on their own merits. So they have to point the finger or say that you did something disingenuous, or you had some sort of advantage that you didn't even really have. Like, and that's why you're successful. Like, when you're, especially like Sabby, once again, I cannot stress enough, we have the evidence in the space. She has been working from a disadvantaged point since the beginning. I know we like to point to her degree and like, yeah, that should be the case. I'm telling you, because I know I have all the qualifications. It should be the case that one of the most legitimately qualified people in the space should be successful from the jump, because that's what you would see from one of these damn white boys that claims to be more qualified, but it actually isn't that qualified. But that's not how it works, and we know that, or else a Sabby or a Bree wouldn't be so rare. So she's working from a disadvantaged standpoint, and for her to have achieved what she's achieved thus far is actually something to be marveled. Now, as long as she continues to use it in the way that she does, like, that's an amazing thing. And I just don't really see a trajectory where Sabby is not going to continue to use it. Disagreements, politically or not. Like, and most of the time I don't really have political disagreements with Sabby. So, and And it's not just her. Like that's what RBN has done in general for creating a space has been dope to see. And CJ was part of that. So that's why, it breaks my heart if he's really out there talking about Sabi like that. That sucks, bro. That really does. That sucks because it's so hard for Black people in this space. It really is. And a lot of y'all know that. A lot of y'all, that's why I see y'all advocating for us on the big channels. I see, bro, like I always, bro, one of the biggest travesties to social media and to politics and political discourse is like, I'm like, why did it take so long for Garland Nixon to be famous? Because Garland Nixon is the man. That's one of the most intelligent people I have ever met in my life. Who are all these other people and why are we not seeing Garland on TV? I mean, he did used to go on TV sometimes, but it just took so long for Garland to get his flowers. And then when he finally got his goddamn flowers on Twitter, they shut him down. I mean, but he's still popping on YouTube and Rockfin and Rumble and gets his interviews and stuff like that. But it took so long. For what? How? How could that have happened? Now I'm always curious about that. And because, bro, I mean, once again, because you're talking about just the sheer experience of Garland trumps almost anybody that most people listen to. Like Scott Ritter, Garland Nixon. There's some people who just have so much personal experience beyond this space that with the age and the wisdom and the analysis, like it's just like they're in a different category than the rest of us. They are. Like it's like a category you strive to be in. And although Garland considers me a contemporary, I don't consider myself a contemporary of Garland. Garland is out of this stratosphere. He's a superstar in my opinion. But the fact that it took so long for him to get the recognition he deserves just speaks to how difficult it is in this particular space to not be a white guy. I mean, unless we do the flip it up and turn around and join Turning Point USA and get our Candace Owens on, like that's a different conversation for a different day. Helpful Harm, loving the Sabi Love and BW Black Women Defenses, and I tried bananas. They gave me, oh, you did? Ah, nice. So I tried bananas. They gave me a trick. Man, boy, I'll tell you, we ain't never gonna have one conversation on this damn live stream without shrooms, huh? Without talking about shrooms at least once. I'm glad you tried it with bananas though. That's dope. I told you, man, bananas. Bananas, strawberry banana smoothies. I don't know anything about Black Power Media, actually. I've never had any interaction with them, so I don't have an opinion about them. Sabby's great. Caitlin Johnstone is epic. Caitlin Johnstone is dope as hell too. Even I had disagreements with Caitlin Johnstone, but she's dope. It's while they're going through parallel split. They're having drama too. Oh man, I might need to chime in a little bit. Cobra Commander, we at Midwestern Marks call this stuff the purity fetish. It's easy for the U.S. communists to get in a mindset of you ain't woke communists, learned as me. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the that's a U.S. mindset in general for all things. It's not even just like you ain't as woke as me. It's a you ain't as blank, insert whatever thing it is here as me. So because the competition isn't really a competition of whatever that issue might be. So in this case, woke or rigid or leftist, it's like the benefits that come with being perceived that way, at least in this particular space, right? The benefits that come with being perceived as radical and the attention that you get for it. So, and that's usually what it is in that with everything. You're not as real as me. What do you mean? Well, come over here. I wanted to show you my "You Not As Real As Me" t-shirts that I'm selling on Amazon. Like that's like literally that's what you be seeing all over Instagram, TikTok. Like everybody wants to be perceived as this particular brand, and they don't want anyone else to impede on the success of that brand because that then takes sales away from my brand, and I can't market myself like that. It's like that's kind of how all these people operate. Ain't gonna lie to you. Americans are arrogant. Some folks reach a level of consciousness and take the stance that everyone must rise to their level, but that's not revolution happen. Oh, not how revolution happens. That is true. That is not how revolution happens. I would say there's like the difficult part about trying to figure out like who's genuine, who's not, it's far more nuanced than what people might think. You do have to be aware. Like, so I'm not a purity guy. Most people should know me. Like, I don't really, for me, I'm a bottom line activist. As in, what is the goal that we want to achieve? And what I do consider en route to that goal is if aligning with a person on a particular issue publicly or working with them publicly is a good thing. Like, can we get to that goal without a detour that will throw us off so much that getting to the goal is irrelevant because now we're late and it doesn't matter and we're like, you get what I'm saying? Like, that's how I feel about a lot of stuff that's happened since 2016 to 2020. A lot of us are at this point right now where we understand how politics really work because of all the events that took place in 2016 and 2020. But we needed everybody to have arrived here then. But because people were aligning themselves on one issue with one person or another issue with another person, not realizing that those people that they were aligning themselves with were selfish opportunists, we end up way over here. And even though we have arrived at the destination, which is cool, we're late as hell. The food is cold. Movie done started. I don't know what movie's coming out now because I missed my previews. So now, and I lost the plot. That's kind of what happens. So we don't need purity tests. We don't need ideological, ideological, what's the word? Like, we don't need to put people in ideological boxes and say, if you're not my ideology, you can't hang out my box. You can't hang out over it. We don't need, that's not even reasonable. However, what makes someone the most dangerous, in my humble opinion, is whenever y'all pretend like you put yourself in these boxes, because we've seen that, right? And this leftist is only pretending to be this way because it serves that person's motives at the time. And they are very good at feeling out the temperature of the room, because at the moment where it matters the most, when he will break out that box, and on his way out to whatever conservative side, liberal side, whatever box is going to, on his way out of that box or her way out of that box, they will destroy the box. Right? On his way off that train of leftism, anti-war, whatever, they will destroy the box or destroy the train, makes you never get to the destination, or at least delay it so much that it doesn't matter when you got to the destination. And like, everybody's so confused, like, damn, how do we prevent this from happening? It's like, well, because regardless of political disagreements and all that good shit, at a certain point, you got to be able to recognize an opportunist, because this is just a general fact of life. That's a skill that you need in your life, to be able to recognize an opportunist, because there are these opportunists in our space, because there are plenty of them. They are salesmen. And it's no different than the salesman that's trying to sell you some bullshit in a store, on the street, or whatever. Right? It's no different. It's a life skill that you need. You can't, if you're constantly falling for scams, you can't be a leader of your household. Not a good one. So if you're constantly falling for scams, you can't be a leader of a movement. Especially if you get scammed more than, if you keep getting scammed, it's like everybody sees it and it's also in your face. Like, you now look like a lick. Basically, you look like somebody, yep, that person's gonna fall for the scam every time. And at a certain point, it's like you have, and I can't tell you how to do that. That part is a little bit more difficult, but you have to be able to discern over time who is a scammer and who just is messing up. Because there are some people who mess up and there are legit scammers out there. And the scammers, I can tell you this, they say a lot of all their comments, all their advocacy has a lot of I in it. A lot of I. They always talking about what I did. I did this. Me. Look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. Not talking about what they're doing for us for the future. Not talking about not shedding a light on others and what they're trying to do. Like, not others off in the distance. I'm talking about others in the space who are doing it right now. Right. One red flag for me in the last 2 years has been who highlights the mutual aid efforts of RBN. I know that sounds like it's super random, right? But it's not, because everybody in the space at this point knows who RBN is. You either had beef with them, somebody else had beef with them, they go viral, whatever. You're like, you know, Sabby, Rome for his work in the streets, right? RBN, and if you know their work and their mutual aid work specifically, if you've never made any effort to highlight that work at all, especially if I know for a fact that you know who they are, like, I'm looking at you with a side eye. I'm not really going, I'm like, you seem like you're avoiding them for some reason. And when there's avoidance involved, there's a reason. It's usually because you consider them competition and you just haven't let them know that you consider them competition. But there will be an impasse, and then people will be forced to decide. Some people, it is what it is. It's like, that's also how you weed out. That's how you weed out the weeds, so to speak, I guess. Like, you just got to know, man. I know it sucks. People don't like the conflicts, the drama. But some of it's not drama. Some of it is necessary. Some of it is, you need to know who is an ally and who is not before you uplift them to a point where they can't be taken down. And you see that a lot, right? We saw that with TYT. I mean, they're like on the decline now, but like, bro, they got uplifted to heights to the point where they were too much of an influence by the end of 2016 and on the way to 2020. Was TYT not too much? Like, they were too much of an influence on the outcome of not just election, because damn that part, it's the outcome of who people listen to, because there were people that were organizing, doing shit. Like, I know, because our people were doing it. Our people were organizing, out there and doing investigative journalism, helping people get to the conclusion, helping people understand their local elections, understanding the election integrity systems, or lack thereof, rather. Like, they're telling you not to watch those channels. They're beefing with them. They're causing drama with them, and that is directly affecting people who would have been watching those actual organizers, actual activists, who just so also happen to be on the right side of history, probably because of their direct involvement of being on the ground. And now initiatives aren't getting passed. Organizing isn't getting done. Why? Because it took and that could affect the outcome of an election. And sometimes it's not even about a person being elected. It's about a ballot initiative or something to that degree. And the organizing didn't get done. Why? Because that person could have had the audience, the local audience, the fundraising, etc., to get it done. But TYT said that person doesn't like Hillary, and therefore, if TYT doesn't like them, no one can watch them. Or if you watch them or you like them, you're doing so in secret because you're worried about, the limited hangout shit. Brandon Burks, thank you very much for the super chat. Appreciate you. Speaking of shrooms, how do you know how much to take? My daddy. Oh, what? Your dad got some? I didn't know where to start. I need shroom course. How do you know how much to take, or how do you know how much you're taking? Because I started off with an eighth. My very first dosage was an eighth. For sure. I would recommend anyone and everyone start off with at least an eighth. Otherwise, it's just kind of like a waste. It's just kind of like you being high, really. Like, you can smoke for that. Yeah, Sophie, I am on Vanguard half an hour, actually. Yeah. Not Vanguard, excuse me. I am on RBN something. I am on RBN in half of an hour. So I got to get off here in like 5 minutes. Oh, speaking of which, Levi, venga. My oldest wanted to say hi to y'all. Venga. Para baixo, por favor. Você quer falar oi? Cuidado, por favor, não bate na minha câmera. Não, aqui. Cuidado. Sério. Fala oi. Oh, boy. Boy, you are. Você hi.
Hi.
My name is Levi. Quantos anos você tem?
6 anos.
Em inglês, você lembra? 6.
6.
I'm 6 years. I am
I am
6
years
old.
old.
O que foi?
Falar do videogame.
Você quer falar sobre o seu videogame? Qual videogame? Switch? He wants to talk about his Switch. O que você quer falar sobre o seu videogame?
Eu quero falar meu videogame.
O que você quer falar?
Quero falar.
Que videogame você tem?
Sim, do Mario.
Mario qual? De corrida?
O do Mario, do corrida de luta.
He's talking about he got Super Mario, the new Super Mario All Stars, like where they got you can play with Super Mario, Luigi, and all them, and Super Smash Brothers. He don't know how to say Super Smash Brothers, but
Eu ganhei montanhas. Tô ganhando. Eu tô ganhando o outro não tá chegando.
Oh, você está vencendo?
É.
Oh, boy, porque parece como você está falando que você está ganhando mais alguma coisa de mim.
Eu tô ganhando até.
Sound like he was saying he's about to get something, like get another toy. I'm like, what? I ain't tell you I was getting.
Tô ganhando até chegando no Bowser.
He said
O Bowser pegou a princesa.
He's winning in the game until he gets up to Bowser, and then Bowser keeps busting his butt. But he's getting it, man. He kids, bro. He was getting frustrated at first, and I'm like, bro, if you don't go learn how to play this game, tá bom. Fala tchau.
Tchau.
What? Também te amo. Não bate na minha câmera. Obrigado. Yeah, that boy love that Switch, dog. He only gets it on the weekend, though. He only gets it on the weekend because kids, boy, they get addicted to everything so fast. And I don't know if I was like that. I don't remember being like that because we went outside all the time. But yeah, nah. These in Brazilian parents, I guess parents in general, but definitely Brazilian parents, it should be like, hand them kids cell phone, hand a kid a Switch, get out my face. Nah, cuz he gets the Switch Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or Friday after he studies, Saturday and Sunday. And during the week, he has two options. He can study, he has to study, and then he can watch educational shows, or he can go outside. Those are his options. Nico Jr. Technically, he's not Nico Jr., but everybody always thinks that he's my biological son because he looks like me. He kind of acts like me, actually, which is kind of funny. That's just by happenstance. I'd never buy fungus off the internet. It's like playing trash. Man, you crazy, boy. You better go stop playing. Get the Matrix bars. Yeah, don't get them off Facebook. No, go to Matrix. Hey, somebody go ahead. I know somebody in here is on the Matrix tip. Yeah, put the Matrix bar website because they have a wide variety of products from you to choose from. You can take it as chocolate. You can get the actual shroom, the real shrooms. They got the measurements for you and all that. They measure out the packages for you so you know exactly how much you're taking. And speaking of Smash Brothers, yes. I'm actually a huge Smash. I didn't get Smash Brothers for him. I actually got it for me. He just started playing it because it's kind of like it's one of those games that's a little bit hard for it because he was 5 whenever I got it. So it's kind of one of those games that's hard for a 5 or 6 year old to play. But when he saw me online just busting everybody ass, he was like, I'm gonna play like that. And then it didn't go that way. He was like a little pissed about it. And I was like, bro, you gotta learn how to play. I don't know what you want me to tell you. I'm 35 years old. I've been playing. Smash Brothers has existed since before you were thought about being born. Okay. So like you gotta practice. And then so he started practicing. Who do I play? I play with Dark Pit. I play with Dark Pit and Sheik and Star Fox sometimes. if I feel like going vintage. Oh no, I mean I do speak Spanish, but nowhere near. I speak Portuguese fluently. I was speaking Portuguese. I wasn't speaking Spanish. It just sounded like Spanish because some people say it sounds like Spanish. Some people say it sounds like I'm speaking French. But yeah, no, my Spanish is actually horrible now. I can understand it still, but when I was like trying to make the transition to Portuguese, my brain decided like you need to make it a business decision. You gonna learn Portuguese because it ain't gonna keep working with the Spanish because you can actually get by on speaking Spanish in Brazil because they like watch novellas. A lot of them study Spanish as a second language here. If you're in Copacabana, like closer to the tourist area, a lot of people speak Spanish, and a lot of people who move here from the DR, Argentina, Colombia, a lot of them are bilingual, so you actually get away with speaking Spanish. So you gotta really kind of commit yourself. If you're not fluent in Spanish, like you have to make the decision to commit yourself to Portuguese, because otherwise the Spanish will unfortunately always disrupt your ability to learn how to speak Portuguese correctly, like with the accent and pronounce the words and all that good stuff. Oh, the Joker's nice. I like playing with the Joker. I won't play with him online. I play with him against my friends. I won't play with him online against other people because I'm too competitive and I really don't like losing and I'm not experimental. I just like getting the job done. Yes, being a stepdad is definitely as real as being a bio dad, and especially in my guy's case. My guy Levi, that's like that. He might as well be my son. Actually, I oftentimes forget he's my stepson. I only say stepson usually to like if I'm talking like just for informational purposes in case somebody wants to ask or is like confused about age difference or whatever, or maybe if because I've had plenty of people who will say, "Wow, both of your sons look exactly like you," and one of them is my biological son, but Levi is not my biological son technically. So, but I'm like. Yeah, he does look like me, but he's not technically not biological. But I appreciate you. But yeah, that's Portuguese. I suggest, man. Look, if I was y'all, I would suggest any. Oh, by the way, random. Before I get up out of here, if you want to visit Brazil and you're from the United States, you don't need a visa. They canceled all that shit. You don't need a visa to come visit anymore. He was going to do it, but Lula changed his mind. I'm assuming because he realized it was way too expensive. It was way too expensive to transition the entire country into having Americans and Brits and Canadians all of a sudden require a visa. So at the end of April, he announced like, yeah, nah. Which is really convenient for me, I'm be honest with you guys. Cobra Commandment. I just read your You said thanks for being off the market, Nico. Good looking. Hey man, look, I'm not out here trying to take nobody's girl. I promise you. I ain't got time for it. It's too much drama involved. Shit. Plus her ass. She ain't, it's weird. She's not like a jealous type of person. She's not really a jealous person, but she is. But she don't want you taking her man's time. I'm put like that. She's not a jealous person, but like at the same time, she is. Like, but she's not worried. Like she's not worried about nobody taking her man, but she also knows who her man is, and she's like, I'm gonna put it like this: her mom FaceTimed us, but it was really her sister FaceTiming us. But her mom FaceTimed us. Her sister was on the video, and I wasn't even paying attention. She didn't, because it wasn't for me. It was to talk to her and Levi. And I hear her screaming at her phone, "Why are you walking around in a goddamn towel while you FaceTiming me? You know my husband's in the house." I'm like, oh, hold up, who are you talking to? It's like my sister. Like my little whole ass sister walking around in the towel. Like, why is she FaceTiming me with a towel? I'm like, but you walk around the towel in the house all the time. Like, what do you mean? It's kind of normal, right? She didn't want to wash clothes. It's nighttime. Like, It's like, nah, she did that shit because she wanted you to see. Like, what? So even though she's not jealous, she definitely does not like people testing her. I'll tell you that. That's just hilarious. And she be paying attention to stuff that I don't be paying attention to. Like she sells me out here. It's like, so for those of you who don't know, I'm 6'1" and I'm kind of a big dude. I'm like 6'1", 215 for the most part. Depends. I hover between about 200 and 215. And I do have all these tattoos and all that stuff. So I'm somewhat of a spectacle, I guess, wherever I go. But out here, it's kind of rare, especially in this particular neighborhood, to have like just a big ass black dude with tattoos walking around with dreads. So a lot of people are constantly staring at me, but I never see it because I'm like on my phone or I'm like playing with my son or carrying him or like if I'm looking, they're not going to look, right? So I'm not about to go out of my way to look. I don't really care. I'm not looking for it. So she's like getting mad and huffing and puffing because we're just walking, right? We're just walking around. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Why are you huffing and puffing? So I'm tired of these bitches looking at you. Like I'm not right here. And I'm like, woman, what are you talking about? There's not been a single person that's looked at me. I swear to God, she's making this up in her head. And she's like, no, this girl's looking at you and that one. I'm like, they literally were not. I just looked up and they were not looking. She's like, it's because you were looking at him. And I was like, all right, I'm going to act like I'm not looking. Okay. And then we're going to see if she's right. So I put my sunglasses on and I acted like I was looking towards like the forest, but I was actually looking out to my peripheral. And she was right. It was actually this particular time was two older women and they looked at me and kind of pointed like, so they were like clearly talking about me. And I just busted out laughing. So I ruined the whole thing because like, that was like the most obvious, like, damn, like, yeah, I guess she was right. They didn't have no shit. They were like, yeah, well, go over there. And then they like did a little gossip thing. And she's like, shit, look at what? Like, why? It's so rude. I'm like, I mean, guys look at you all day. I mean, what am I supposed to do? She's bad. My wife's bad as hell. And guys are constantly trying to talk to her. They don't try to talk to her, but they're constantly looking at her. They try to talk to her when I'm not there, of course. But I mean, what am I supposed to do? She's like, it's not the same thing. I'm a woman. It's different. I'm used to it. I'm like, but ain't nobody talking to me. There's not really people who just stop me on the street and talk to me like that. So, but it's funny. She's because she's not really a genuinely jealous person. But it's like she's more mad, which I can actually relate to. She's more mad at the disrespect because she's like, y'all are looking at me or looking at him while he's with me, as if you're trying to get him to look back at you, as it like to disrespect her. Is like kind of how she sees it. You get what I'm saying? Like that's what she's more mad about. She's like, you're trying to disrespect me. It's really not even about Nico, to be completely honest, because she's a woman. So why would it be about Nico? It's really about her. And I told her, I'm like, they're probably only looking at me because I'm with you, because you're bad. So if I'm with you, and like, how did she? She's beautiful, and he's with her. What does he got that she wants? So let me find out. Like that's basically how that's how women are, man. Guys will tell you. Every decent looking guy will tell you they do not get anywhere near the amount of stares if they are by themselves. But if they're with their girlfriend or their wife or whatever, especially if she's beautiful, like they will get. I've gotten stares. I've gotten flirted with. I'm like, what the hell was all this shit? When I was single, I was not getting this. I mean, I got to put in a lot of work when I'm single just to not look single. It's kind of like how it goes. I got to put in a lot of work to not have single person energy. But whenever you're not paying attention and you with your girl, all of a sudden, every single girl wants you and is looking at you. And is looking at you in a way that apparently your girlfriend can see or your wife can see. It's hilarious, bro. It really is. Sophia, yeah, you're right. Brazilian women are not shy by looking. And neither are the goddamn men. The gay dudes out here, they don't be giving a damn, bro. They be staring at me. I'm like, with my whole family, they looking at me like I'm an entree, like I'm some churrasco steak right? Fresh off the goddamn Churrasqueña. Like, I'm like, bro, nah, I appreciate you. Nah, but yeah. No, hey, look, man, I'm not judging you, cuz, but hey, look. Even if we play for the same team, I'm already on the team. I'm not a free agent, cuz, like, but they don't give a damn. They're worse than the women are. It's hilarious. It really is. Brazilians are their own, they are really their own whole vibe. And also the women out here too, they like looking at other women. So there's that. And like they don't even, you would think that all of them are bisexual the way they be looking at the other one. They're like, oh my God, she's fine. Oh my God, she look good. Oh my God, she's fine. I'm like, what are you gay? Just a little bit? No, why? What? She's like, I'm just saying, look at her. So it's just like, man, Brazilians are beautiful people and they just appreciate beautiful people. And I promise you ever come to Brazil, guys, good luck. Good luck. If you're with somebody, if you're happy in that relationship, come with that individual. Come with your partner. Do not come to Brazil by yourself like I'm loyal and faithful and I'm going to hold it down, man. I'm just here to hang out with my boys, enjoy the culture. Now you're going to enjoy the goddamn culture. You definitely going to enjoy the culture and you're not going to go back. You're going to stay. Somebody going to make sure that you enjoy the hell out of the culture. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for tuning into this Mimosa Monday, y'all. Where we go? We went almost 4 hours. See, I was smart. I knew I was like, yeah, I go ahead and get started early because it's going to be one of them days. Sophia said, I'm assuming you're talking about Brazilians. She said, I think we are very sensual and sexual beings, most probably by, but on the hush hush. Yeah, no, 100%. I accidentally discovered that one of my girl's cousins is gay or bisexual, excuse me. Because like just the behavior was like, it wasn't adding up kind of. No, it was. The problem was the behavior absolutely was adding up. And then I jokingly made the suggestion and her reaction to it was like, hold up, how the fuck did you know that? Because, you know, the gossip network that they be having out here, I'm not in none of the group chats. I refuse to get into the group chats with the family. But it's like she was worried someone in the family had told me that, and no one had told me that. I just was jokingly guessing because of how she acted. And she was like, what? Huh? Why would you say that? I'm like, oh, shit. And but apparently, at least my girl knew, like, she was like, yeah, no, I kind of thought she was gay. I just never said anything. But like the way she react probably is exactly why she's gay. She's probably gay. And I was like, damn, bro, I'm out here outing people, just joking, because Brazilian women love looking at other Brazilian women. I'm like, y'all all bisexual, man. Y'all just go ahead, bro. Nobody mad at it. We are not mad at you. Brazilian women are beautiful creatures. And y'all absolutely should want to look at each other because we enjoy looking at you too. Man, y'all go over to RBN channel, bro. I'm about to go get some food real quick and I'm about to hop on over there. I think we about to talk about some serious stuff though, man. We got to get back into the politics and shit. So like this video, share this video, make sure to subscribe if this is your first time here. And always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. I hope to see you at the next Mimosa Monday, people. Peace.